Chapter 4696. After Chen found out about this, he rushed to Zhangzhou. Tang Guo also learned about this matter from Jiang Zilin, so she also followed them. Perhaps because Tang Guo had interfered too much, after Chen found Wei Xian, he tried to persuade him, but to no avail. He left without making a move. This was because Chen was only at the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal stage and was no match for the Su family. Chen was not a fool. He would not do things that he was not confident in. Tang Guo was in the crowd. She saw that Wei Xian and Su Sai had successfully held the Dao couple ceremony and received many blessings. Tang Guo also gave a gift. After giving the gift, she left without stopping. She guessed that Chen would not let this go and would probably come back. Su Sai was sincere to Wei Xian, and Wei Xian also really liked Su Sai, not because of other reasons. The two of them seemed to be a good match for each other. With Wei Xian's personality, if he recovered his memory, he would probably be very glad that he chose Su Sai and not Chen. I don't know this fairy Tang. After the Dao couple ceremony, when the gifts were counted, Wei Xian found a very valuable gift. When he saw the name on it, he was at a loss. I didn't even see such a valuable gift. I don't know how to thank her. Su Sai checked the gift and was also shocked. This is cultivation experience. Wei Xian continued, I don't know why Fairy Tang gave me such a valuable gift. It's cultivation experience from a mystic immortal to an immortal emperor. Su Sai looked at the name on the gift again and read, Qingzhou Tangguo, Qingzhou Tangguo, Qingzhou, Qingzhou, Qing Emperor, Tangguo, Qing Emperor's daughter. Su Sai's eyes widened. No way. Qing Emperor's daughter. Wei Xian was confused. Qing Emperor's daughter, one of the 8 immortal emperors? That's right. It should be her. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to give such a valuable gift. This gift is very important to the entire Su family. Wei Xian understood. Since that's the case, make a copy and place it in the Su family's library for all the Su family disciples to read. On the contrary, Su Sai felt embarrassed. He suddenly felt that he was climbing up the social ladder. The Su clan had never produced an immortal emperor, so this insight was extremely valuable. Since Fairy Tang sent it here today, you shouldn't mind me doing this. In a few days, let's pay her a visit, Wei Xian said. Increasing our strength is more important, so let's not be so restrained. Su Sai nodded. All right. It was also good that she was placed in the Su clan's library. This way, the other members of the Su clan would not gossip about Wei Xian. If they knew that she had some friendship with Fairy Tang, they would not dare to bully her. She could be considered a protective umbrella. Thinking of this, Su Sai suddenly felt that Fairy Tang wouldn't be doing this for this purpose, right? Could it be that Fairy Tang was really related to Xian Er? Looking at Xian Er's expression, it was obvious that she did not know what was going on. In short, it wasn't a bad thing. Su Sai quickly threw it to the back of her mind. As for Tangguo, she had already gone to the desolate sea to visit her friends who were cultivating. Although the greatest danger had been resolved, she had no intention of letting them out. They should just obediently stay inside and cultivate. The mystic realm will open after they break through to the immortal emperor realm. What do you think? Jiang Zilin asked. Since Tang Guo wanted to play, he would play along with her. When the time came, these juniors would obtain the inheritance before their elders. That would be funny. However, he guessed that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. These juniors were still lacking. All right. Tang Guo felt that this was quite good. She also wanted the Qing Emperor and the rest to see how these juniors would amaze the world. Peak. Chapter 4697. After that, Tanguy continued to cultivate. Since she had gotten rid of the mastermind, she planned to cultivate while looking at the cultivation experiences of the seniors. Thus, her cultivation speed was very fast. 100 years passed. Tanguy was only one step away from stepping into the sage realm. She would take this step sooner or later. As for when, she would have to wait for the right opportunity. Perhaps she would be able to achieve it by chance. At this moment, Tanguy did not force it. She really did not want to have an epiphany at this time. When the time came, the phenomenon of the saint realm would be real, blooming everywhere. Celestial music would also be played. It would be impossible to keep a low profile. Your talent is better than mine. Jiang Zilin was the most shocked one. It's only been 100 years. You're just one step away. This is a special case, Tanguy said. I have many memories of my past lives. Jiang Zilin calmed down. That's right. Just this experience alone is not something that others can compare to. A lifetime of experience is a lifetime of enlightenment. This kind of opportunity is very rare. Almost no one can encounter it. Then, Jiang Zilin was slightly relieved. At this moment, he seemed to be able to feel the conflict of Tanguy's friends. Has Yuni-chen come out of seclusion? Tanguy asked. Before she went into seclusion, Yuni-chen had also gone into seclusion. Jiang Zilin had told her this. Jiang Zilin shook his head. Not yet. Oh, when he comes out, he will probably settle the score with the Su family. We can't let him succeed. Jiang Zilin smiled. Don't worry. After all, Wei Xian is your disciple, and the Su family is not bad. The Su family's ancestors are also considered a side branch of the saint. That Su Sai is not bad. She might be able to obtain the saint's inheritance in the future. Jiang Zilin would not give anything for free. If they wanted to get it, they would go to the mystic realm. At this moment, Jiang Zilin's expression suddenly changed. Tanguy saw this and quickly asked, "What's wrong?" There's movement in the desolate sea's array formation. Your friends might be about to become immortal emperors. As he spoke, Jiang Zilin had already brought Tanguy to the outside of the array formation. He opened the array formation and discovered that the 6 people inside were showing signs of advancing to the immortal emperor stage. He cast a spell to stop the 6 of them. The 6 of them instantly came to their senses. When they realized that it was Jiang Zilin and Tanguy, they felt relieved. I'll take you to breakthrough, Jiang Zilin said. Tanguy added, don't worry. When we break through, Zilin will bring us back. The 6 of them didn't resist and allowed Jiang Zilin to bring them to the place where Tanguy had broken through to the immortal emperor realm. When the 6 of them saw this place, they all revealed strange smiles. Tanguy was too evil. She was clearly trying to anger Emperor Qing and the others. However, they also noticed one thing. Tanguy called Jiang Zilin Zilin. It seemed that the masked expert was even more powerful. He had defeated Yuni-chen. If it were them, they would also choose this expert. Not only did he accompany Tanguy, but he also put her first in everything. On the other hand, Yuni-chen seemed more indifferent. He was like an orphan who was focused on cultivation and had no feelings. The array formation has been set up. You guys can cultivate, Jiang Zilin said. Don't worry about anyone coming in. They won't be able to break this array formation. Lei Yu and the others were naturally not worried. They vaguely guessed that Jiang Zilin was not an ordinary expert. He was very likely at the saint realm or at least a quasi-saint. Although they didn't know why there were still saints now, the opportunity was in front of them. They would be fools if they didn't work hard. Everyone released their auras and continued to break through. Tangua saw the immortal chi surging from all directions and said, I'm afraid it's not enough. We still have to set up a spirit gathering array. Peak. Chapter 4698. Tangua took out a pile of immortal stones from her storage ring and started to set up a formation. Jiang Zilin didn't do anything for such a small formation. Tangua threw hundreds of thousands of immortal stones into the formation. If it wasn't enough, she would throw another pile in. It was as if she didn't need money. At this time, the commotion caused by the 6 of them breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm was not small. The immortal chi was like a whirlwind that rushed towards them. This commotion caused many people who were in seclusion to wake up. The immortal chi was all gone, and they couldn't cultivate at all. Emperor Qing and the others naturally rushed over. When they saw that it was still the same place, their expressions were strange and speechless. What do you all think? Emperor Qing asked the others. If it has something to do with that person from before, he isn't afraid of us. He just doesn't want to meet us. But why did he choose this place? Emperor Lei asked. Emperor Han was also puzzled. Isn't this commotion too big? Is he really breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm and not what? Without needing to finish, everyone knew what was going on. Becoming a sage won't cause immortal chi to rush over quickly, Emperor Fu said. According to the records, the scene of becoming a sage is that more spiritual chi will appear between heaven and earth, benefiting the entire immortal world. Everyone will be able to enter an epiphany and gain benefits. How long they can stay in the epiphany depends on their luck and comprehension. Not only that, but there's also another scene. Everywhere in the immortal world, withered trees will be rejuvenated, flowers will bloom everywhere, and immortal music will play. Then why would there be such a huge commotion when breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm? Emperor Dan asked. Emperor Dragon said, maybe this person is very talented and different from ordinary people. Everyone thought about it and felt that it might be so. Oh right, we can't let the person inside escape this time. Little 9 can't stop him. We have to catch Little 10. Emperor Water gritted his teeth and said, we have to set up a formation around here. I don't believe that the formation we set up can't stop a newly ascended immortal emperor. It's not like we'll eat him. Why would he run? We brothers and sisters can't wait to dote on our younger brothers and sisters. Sister Shui is right. Let's hurry up and set up a formation to seal off the surroundings. Also, when the time comes, we'll wait in various positions. I guarantee that they won't be able to go anywhere. The Dragon Emperor rubbed his palms together and chuckled. That guy inside won't be able to escape today. If Little 10 is a girl, then I'll let it go. But if it's a guy, then I'll definitely beat him up. At this moment, the Buddha the Arch also agreed, it's time to teach him a lesson. Without further delay, they began to set up the formation. When the rest of the people from the immortal world rushed over, they found the 7 immortal emperors standing in various positions as if they were facing a great enemy, as if guarding against something. Speaking of which, the mystic the Arch is not here again. The Azure Supreme the Arch scanned the crowd. Is he still in seclusion? When was he not like this? If he did not come, then so be it. The next time we meet, we will tell him, the Thunder Emperor said. Emperor Han said, Mystic the Arch, I haven't seen you in 100 years. It's normal to not see each other for hundreds of years. He doesn't like to join in the fun. The Dragon Emperor's words dispelled everyone's doubts. Let's just keep an eye on the inside. No matter what, we have to catch Little 10 today. Maybe if we catch Little 10, we can find Little 9. These 2 damn children, they really make me worry too much. The Thunder Emperor grinned. Today, we brothers and sisters must let them experience the feelings of brothers and sisters. The Buddha the Arch smiled and said, okay. Peak. Chapter 4699. The immortal Chi was still crazily surging towards the place where the six of them were sitting cross-legged. More and more people gathered outside the array formation. Weeping Soul Forest was clearly a dangerous place, but because of the advancement of the immortal emperor here, the people of the immortal world came together, making this dangerous place less dangerous. Especially with a few powerful immortal emperors overseeing it, no one dared to cause trouble here. Instead, it was extremely safe. I wonder who is so powerful that all the immortal Chi in the immortal world is rushing towards this place. He's definitely stronger than the immortal emperor from 100 years ago. If this person succeeds in advancing to the immortal emperor realm today, then our immortal world will have 10 great immortal emperors. I don't know why, but the immortal emperor from 100 years ago hasn't appeared yet. You guys didn't see it, but I heard Emperor Qin and the other immortal emperors discussing that they couldn't let this person escape. They even set up an array formation around him. Look at where Emperor Qin and the others are standing. They're afraid that this person will escape. When this was said, everyone didn't know whether to laugh or cry. 100 years ago, the 9th immortal emperor ran away after advancing, and it became one of the unsolved mysteries of the immortal world. The immortal Chi surged over ferociously, and everyone's hair fluttered in the wind. The crowd was discussing animatedly, and more people came. With such a big commotion, Wei Xian also came here, and beside her was Su Sai and Wei Ming. Wei Ming had also grown into a handsome young master, and he was somewhat famous in the Tsang state. At this moment, his cultivation was already at the golden immortal realm, and his talent was not bad. As for Wei Xian, she was already at the immortal lord realm. The reason why she cultivated so quickly was that her talent and comprehension were not bad, and the cultivation experience that Tang Gua had left for her had saved her a lot of detours. Even though she had brought her son and Su Sai to become Dao companions, there was no one in the Su family who didn't believe her. Without Wei Xian, the Su family of the Tsang state wouldn't have reached its current status. Wei Xian was also at the immortal lord realm, and she had used such a short time. In the eyes of the Su family, it was only a matter of time before Wei Xian advanced to the immortal emperor realm. Thanks to Wei Xian, Su Sai had also reached the immortal lord realm. He was a golden immortal, and he was almost at the immortal lord realm. He was considered the most talented in the Su family. With the cultivation experience, it would not be justified if he didn't advance to the immortal lord realm. I wonder who broke through to the immortal emperor realm this time, causing such a huge commotion. Su Sai sighed. The immortal world was truly filled with geniuses. However, he believed that he would also be able to break through to the immortal emperor realm one day. He thought of the cultivation experience and said to Wei Xian in a low voice, "With such a big commotion, Fairy Tang should come here. Maybe we can meet her." Yes. 100 years ago, after Wei Xian and Su Sai held their Dao companion ceremony, they received a gift from Tang Gua and decided to visit Tang Gua in a few days. Other than thanking the other party, he also wanted to find out why she had given him such an expensive gift. He didn't expect that when he went to Qingzhou, he would find out that Tang Gua had gone out to train and didn't know when she would be back. Later on, whenever the two of them were free, they would ask around if Tang Gua had returned home. Even after 100 years, they still hadn't seen her. With such a huge commotion today, they believed that people from the immortal world would rush over here. They might even meet someone. Su Sai and Wei Xian chatted. After all these years, the relationship between the two of them had become even better. No matter where they went, the two of them would travel together. Even Wei Ming was very tactful and would deliberately leave some space for the two of them to interact. Peak. Chapter 4700. Suddenly, Su Sai and Wei Xian felt a cold gaze and were shocked. They hurriedly looked over and saw Yunichen's figure appear in their line of sight. It's him. Su Sai kept her smile. I'm afraid he's not satisfied. Wei Xian said, so what if he's not satisfied? Ignore him. This person is unreasonable. Wei Xian didn't know that when he first came to the immortal world, he didn't know anything. Is this person related to Fairy Tang? Back then, he came to pester me. If he comes again, I will definitely tell Fairy Tang about this when I see her. If Yuni Chen didn't pester him, she wouldn't say anything. She didn't want others to think that she was framing him. Yuni Chen didn't look at Wei Xian and Su Sai anymore. His brows were deeply furrowed. Back then, when he saw Su Sai and Wei Xian become Dao companions, he wasn't willing. However, he was very clear that with his strength back then, if he went to the Su family to cause trouble, he would be the one at a disadvantage. Hence, he planned to increase his cultivation level first. When he was strong enough, he would go to the Su family to cause trouble and snatch Wei Xian back. Whether he killed Wei Xian or not, Wei Xian couldn't be with others. However, he didn't expect that the aura emitted by Wei Xian and Su Sai was actually at the Immortal Lord realm. They weren't weaker than him at all. Back then, Wei Xian was still weak. Only Su Sai was a threat. Now that both of them were a threat to him, Yuni Chen was on the verge of collapse. How did Wei Xian improve so quickly? He must have had some fortuitous encounter. Yuni Chen could only guess. His intention to cause trouble was also dispelled. With his current strength, he would be at a disadvantage if he fell into their hands. At this moment, Yuni Chen urgently wanted to increase his strength. His cultivation speed wasn't fast enough. He didn't greet Wei Xian and Su Sai but walked inside to see if the Mystic the Arch was here. He hadn't seen the Mystic the Arch for 100 years. If the Mystic the Arch wasn't here, he could only go to the Mystic Thearch's palace to find some methods to increase his cultivation. Recalling that the Mystic the Arch said that he could flip through the books as he wished, Yuni Chen urgently wanted to go back. However, he still controlled himself and decided to go back after everything was over. When Yuni Chen walked in, he only saw the Azure Supreme the Arch and the others. He did not see the Mystic Supreme the Arch. This was what Yuni Chen had expected. He remembered that the Mystic the Arch wasn't here. Compared to the Azure Supreme the Arch and the others, it was normal for the Mystic the Arch to not show himself for hundreds of years. The entire immortal world knew that he was a seclusion maniac. Yuni Chen greeted the Azure the Arch first before bowing to the others. Seeing that he had come alone and did not see Tang Guo, the Qing Emperor asked, "Is Guo not with you?" "Of." Yuni Chen replied. In fact, he discovered that apart from the very beginning, Tang Guo no longer had much enthusiasm for him. At first, he was happy to do so. However, after he met the Mystic the Arch, he was no longer as enthusiastic about it. Of Chen of mind. Of Chen of Qing of heavens of because S the of S. However, later on, the Mystic Thearch's attitude towards Wei Xian was not good. Coupled with the fact that he did not have enough confidence in the immortal world, he allowed that relationship to continue. Jiang Yi was happy that Tang Guo didn't appear in front of him. In the past 100 years, he really hadn't seen Tang Guo. He didn't know where she went to play. Tang Guo took advantage of her good talent in cultivation and often slacked off. She didn't have the slightest interest in cultivation. To be honest, Yuni Chen hated people like her. They were arrogant and lazy. If not for her talent, she would have been surpassed by countless people. Peak. Chapter 4701. If he had such talent, he wouldn't waste it. The Lotus the Arch didn't know what Yuni Chen was thinking. Seeing that he didn't know where Tang Guo was, he didn't ask. He wasn't satisfied with Yuni Chen. He hadn't seen Tang Guo for 100 years, but Yuni Chen wasn't worried at all. He was cold and indifferent. The Lotus the Arch was thinking that if Tang Guo appeared this time, he would ask her if she had made up her mind. Would she choose Uni-Chen or Jiang Zilin? 3 days later, the commotion inside was much quieter. The immortal energy that was crazily pouring in also stopped. Everyone held their breaths and stared inside. They all wanted to see the 10th Immortal Emperor's glory. Guard it, the Lotus the Arch reminded everyone. The Dragon the Arch laughed. Don't worry, I won't let little Ten run away. If he dares to run, I'll use my divine dragon tail. If he dares to run, he'll be struck by lightning, the Lightning the Arch said. The Water the Arch said, the water is ready. I'll be in charge of drowning later. The Han the Arch said, I'll be in charge of the ice. I made some poison. It should be able to catch little Ten off guard, the Alchemy the Arch said. The Buddha the Arch smiled. Then I'll chant an incantation to affect little Ten's mind so that he can't react. The Lotus the Arch had already taken out his sword. Okay, our formation is so perfect. Little Ten won't be able to run away. If he runs again, I won't be a dragon anymore. The Dragon the Arch snorted. Obviously, he thought that this was foolproof. The onlookers showed some pity. The 10th Immortal Emperor was really pitiful. He had just advanced and was already being targeted by these veteran Immortal Emperors. If you want to blame someone, blame Little 9 and Little 10 for being too arrogant. They appeared in the same place. They're looking down on us. The Lightning the Arch stared inside and laughed. If Little 10 runs away again, I won't be surnamed Lei. I'll change my surname to Tian. At this moment, Tang Guo and the others inside the formation actually heard the voices outside. The 6 of them had all advanced to Immortal Emperor and were feeling the powerful energy surging in their bodies. When Lei Yu heard the Lightning Thearcha's words, his eyes lit up. My father's going to change his surname. My father is not going to be a dragon anymore. Ao Xian chuckled. My father is going to lose face. Tang Guo smiled and said, so we're leaving now. Everyone smiled at each other and nodded. Previously, Tang Guo had taught them a secret technique to conceal their cultivation base. They all concealed their cultivation base to the Immortal Monarch realm. After all, they still had to meet those old fellows outside later. It would be meaningless if they were seen through. Now that they were already in the Immortal Emperor realm, they weren't in a hurry to show off their strength in front of the old fellas. Lei Yu suddenly said, why don't we reveal our strength after we become saints? Let's make it big. Do you think saints are cabbages? Lin Chu said unhappily, don't even think about it. Becoming a saint requires time and opportunity. Did you hit your head on an array? Lei Yu chuckled. I'm just saying. Don't take it to heart. Zilin, take us out. Only then did Tang Guo speak. Jiang Zilin nodded lightly and covered the few of them. In an instant, he teleported everyone to a hidden corner. Let's go in and find my father. I really want to see their performance. Lei Yu couldn't wait. From now on, my father's surname will be Tian. You guys have to remember. Everyone shook their heads and laughed. Lei Yu really wanted his father to make a fool of himself. When the group of people appeared, they did attract a lot of attention. Peak. Chapter 4702. After all, they were all famous second-generation immortals in the celestial world. This was the first time they had all appeared together. Many people guessed that they must have been training in a remote place, which was why they were late. This time, there was no small area of blossoming flowers or withered trees coming back to life, so no one had any epiphany. Father. Tang Guo came to the Lotus the Arch. The others also went to find their elders. The Lotus Thearcha's eyes lit up when he saw Tang Guo. Guo is here. Where did you go to play? I just strolled around. The Lotus the Arch nodded. He looked at the array and pondered. Why hasn't little Ten come out yet? Everyone had a bad feeling. At this moment, Jiang Zilin saw Tanggua's signal and immediately removed the array. It was as if the scene from 100 years ago had reappeared. The moment everyone saw the array break, they had a bad feeling. As expected, when the array broke, it was empty. There was no one inside. Where's little Ten? The Lightning the Arch shouted and rushed in. Fuck little Ten, he ran away again. Fuck. How did he run away? The Dragon the Arch also rushed in. He looked like he was about to collapse. Could it be that the heavens didn't want him to be a dragon? The others hurriedly looked around and used their divine senses to search a large area. They didn't find anything unusual. Their expressions were about to crack. They had prepared for so long, but the person slipped away silently. They had lost their face. The others were also dumbfounded. What kind of person actually slipped away under the eyes of the celestial emperors? No matter what, they were very impressed. Let's go. The Pill the Arch sighed and tried to save his face. Little 9 and little 10 are most likely together. They also have a special secret method. That's why they slipped away under our eyes. The Lotus the Arch sighed. Why are they hiding? We won't eat them. Tanguo realized that the second-generation immortals were secretly laughing. At the same time, they were hypocritically comforting the celestial emperors. If they were discovered in the future, they might be beaten up. Let's go. If little 9 and little 10 don't want to show up, we can't do anything, the Lotus the Arch said. Everyone agreed, and the others began to walk out. This time, Emperor Qing did not have much patience. He asked Unichen and Tanggua if they wanted to go back with him or continue their training. Unichen had his own plans. He wanted to go to the Mystic Thearka's library to take a look and see if he could find a way to increase his cultivation level quickly. Hence, he rejected the Azure Supreme Thearka's offer and said that he wanted to go and train. The Azure Supreme the Arch did not force him. Father, I'll go back with you. I miss Mother. The Lotus Emperor's expression softened. Alright, let's go back. The Qing Supreme the Arch glanced at Jiang Zilin. This guy would definitely follow them back. He could go back and talk to Guo about his plans for the future. If Unichen liked to cultivate, so be it. He had grown up and didn't need anyone's protection. The Azure the Arch was dissatisfied, but he did not say anything. He took out a flying Dharma treasure, and the three of them sat on it and left under the gazes of the crowd. Knowing what was going on inside, Wei Xian said to Su Yun, "It seems that we have no choice but to pay a visit to Qingzhou." Of course. Are we going to Qing province now? Su Sai asked, receiving Wei Xian's affirmation. Not long after, the crowd dispersed. However, the embarrassing incident of the celestial emperors today spread throughout the celestial world. The person who slipped away under their noses was indeed a slap to their faces. Lei Yu and the others winked at each other. It was obvious that they were in a good mood. Peak. Chapter 4703. After returning to Qingzhou, Tanggua met up with the Lotus the Arch and his wife. The Lotus the Arch quickly asked her what she thought. Gua, do you want Jiang Zilin or Unichen? The Lotus the Arch asked directly. I don't think Unichen is a good choice. Tanggua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I choose Jiang Zilin. I knew it. How about you and Unichen break off the engagement when you're free? Sure, I'll talk to him personally later. Tanggua said. The Lotus the Arch didn't object. Since his daughter had decided, he could rest assured. Father, I'll introduce Jiang Zilin to you after we break off the engagement. The Lotus the Arch thought that this was a good idea. Otherwise, bad rumors would spread and the celestial world would be talking about it. Although he was curious about who Jiang Zilin was, he would be his son-in-law sooner or later. There was no hurry. A few days later, the Lotus the Arch received news that Yuni Chen was going into seclusion. He came to find Tangguo again. Since Brother I Chen is going into seclusion, let's wait until he's done. It won't affect anything, Tangguo said. So as not to affect him. The Lotus the Arch thought that was fine. Since they were going to break up, there was no need to be hostile. Since he didn't treat Yuni Chen as his son-in-law, he naturally didn't have any requests. Yuni Chen could do whatever he wanted. Yuni Chen was going into seclusion because he found a way to raise his cultivation level in the Mystic Thearka's library. He planned to quickly cultivate to the Immortal Emperor realm and then find trouble with the Su family. At that moment, Wei Xian's family came to Qingzhou to visit Tangguo. Tangguo wasn't surprised by this. Back when she gave Wei Xian her cultivation insights, as long as it was a normal person, they would have come to visit her. When Wei Xian saw Tangguo, she was stunned. Tangguo's appearance was exactly the same as her master. Su Sai and Wei Ming felt that something was wrong with Wei Xian and looked at her worriedly. What's wrong? Su Sai asked softly. Wei Ming asked, Mother, did something happen? Wei Ming knew how difficult it had been for his mother. When he was in his mother's womb, he knew that his mother had paid a huge price to protect him and let him be born. If not for the fact that she was pregnant with him, she might have cultivated to become an immortal and gone to the immortal world much earlier. Therefore, Wei Xian was very important to Wei Ming. Wei Xian shook his head lightly. Nothing. It was because Fairy Tang and her master looked exactly the same. Her heart skipped a beat and she had an unrealistic thought. Could Fairy Tang be her master? However, Fairy Tang was a second-generation immortal from the immortal world. She didn't descend from the mortal world, so it didn't make sense. I heard that you were looking for me. Tangguo asked Wei Xian. Wei Xian hurriedly bowed. I've wanted to visit Fairy Tang for a long time. Back then, during the ceremony with Brother Sai, Fairy Tang's gift was too valuable, so I came to thank you. She mainly wanted to find out why he had given her such an expensive gift. Oh, I see. Tangguo smiled faintly. I just happened to run into you. I haven't seen a happy occasion in a long time, so I came to ask for some good luck. Just to ask for some good luck, so she gave cultivation insights. When Wei Xian heard this, she knew that Tangguo didn't want to explain much. She could only thank her and didn't ask any more questions. Regardless of whether Tangguo was her master or not, she couldn't force her if she didn't want to say more. If she forced her, it would be very rude. She bowed 3 times to Tangguo, which could be considered a big bow. Then, Wei Xian left. After leaving the family, Su Sai and Wei Ming asked what had happened. Wei Xian clearly didn't look right just now. Peak. Chapter 4704. Let's find a place to talk. Wei Xian saw that they were surrounded by people. She wasn't sure if it was really her. If it was just a coincidence, wouldn't it be a joke if word got out? Even if Fairy Tang had left a cultivation technique for her master, it was her own wishful thinking. If the other party didn't acknowledge her, then she couldn't go around talking about it. If the person in the portrait was really Fairy Tang, then regardless of whether the other party acknowledged her as a disciple, she would still treat her as her master in her heart. Without what her master had left for her, she wouldn't be where she was today. She might have already been killed when she was fighting for the treasure. They found a quiet place and set up a soundproof formation. Wei Xian was stared at by 2 pairs of eyes. She then said, Fairy Tang looks very much like someone I know. Before the two of them could ask who it was, she took out a portrait from her storage ring and hung it up respectfully. Su Sai and Wei Ming were both stunned. It wasn't just a likeness. It was clearly her, right? Looks like you guys also think that the person in the portrait is Fairy Tang, right? Wei Xian knew what they were thinking when she saw their expressions. Su Sai asked, "What's going on?" Wei Ming had some recollection. "Mother, I heard you say that the person in the portrait is your master." Wei Ming hadn't paid much attention to the portrait before. He only knew that Wei Xian had worshipped a master in the room when he was young. Wei Xian nodded. "Yes, we have to start from the lower realm." Su Sai knew about Wei Xian's origins and her amnesia. Since Wei Xian had agreed to be Su Sai's Dao companion, she naturally explained her origins clearly. Originally, she had planned to find that person and clarify some things. Later, she met Su Sai and fell in love with him. Only then did she slowly let go of that matter. Whether she could find that person or not depended on fate. Perhaps that person was already dead. Even if he wasn't dead and they didn't meet, it might mean that they were no longer fated to be together. Before she got together with Su Sai, she had told Su Sai and Wei Ming about this matter. Su Sai didn't mind. He even said that even if she went back on her word, he wouldn't regret it. As for Wei Ming, he didn't mind even more. His mother's journey had been too tiring and bitter. In Wei Ming's opinion, Uncle Su was the person who treated his mother the best. As for that strange father of his, he did not have much of a good impression of him. There was one thing that Wei Ming didn't say. After so many years, that person was either dead or a heartless man. Moreover, his mother had crawled out of a mud pit. Who knew what was going on? One time, I returned from the outside world. My body was covered in blood and I sat down in the cave to cultivate. Suddenly, I realized that the stone slab in the cave was capable of absorbing blood. Opening the stone slab, I found something left behind by my master, as well as this portrait. Wei Xian said, after I cultivated the cultivation technique inside, I realized that this cultivation technique was extremely wonderful. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to obtain it, so I took the person in the portrait as my master. I didn't expect that this storage ring would fall out from the portrait. There were more things inside that could support my cultivation to become an immortal. If it weren't for Master's kindness, how could my cultivation be so smooth? Who knows, I might have been killed when I was fighting for treasures outside. A faint smile appeared on Wei Xian's face. Not to mention coming to the immortal world to compete with these geniuses. Su Sai and Wei Ming came to a realization. Both of them bowed to the person in the portrait with grateful expressions on their faces. Vertex. Chapter 4705. Wei Ming even bowed seriously. Wei Ming greets Grandmaster. Su Sai also said seriously, Su Sai greets Master. Wei Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, she still said her thoughts. Actually, I have some guesses that Fairy Tang is my master. However, I don't know why she didn't acknowledge me. However, I'm sure she knows me. The two of them fell silent when they saw the worry on Wei Xian's face. Then, Wei Ming said, Mother, I think Grandmaster must have her own thoughts. She might even be testing you. If she really doesn't like you, she wouldn't have given you her cultivation experience. Ming is right. Su Sai agreed. Xian guessed that Fairy Tang is master because of that cultivation experience, right? Other than this, I can't think of anyone else who would be so kind as to give you such a valuable gift. If the cultivation experience of the Immortal Emperor realm was spread out, countless people would fight over it. Wei Xian said firmly, Yes, I think so too. After hearing what you said, I seem to understand. Fairy Tang is the daughter of an immortal emperor and has an extraordinary status. She definitely wouldn't take in disciples casually. Now that she's giving me cultivation experience, she probably wants me to improve my strength. Yes, that's very likely. Su Sai said, then don't think too much. We just entered the Immortal Lord realm. It's time for us to train. Ming, stabilize your cultivation. It's only a matter of time before you enter the Immortal Lord realm. Su Sai guessed. Fairy Tang is very talented. I think she might enter the Immortal Emperor realm soon. Su Sai's words shocked the two of them. Then, they felt that it was very likely. Wei Xian's family of 3 went to train. Tang Gua didn't expect this. This family was just imagining things. The reasons they came up with comforted themselves. In fact, Tang Gua didn't acknowledge Wei Xian because of Yunichen. She felt that Yunichen would still cause trouble. Unfortunately, because of her interference, Yunichen was terrified. Tang Gua, who returned to the desolate sea, was still upset. If she had known that Wei Xian would improve so quickly, she would have given her something else. Giving her cultivation experience was simply cheating. In a few decades, or even 100 years, Wei Xian's son, Wei Ming, would probably become an immortal lord. When Jiang Zilin knew that Tang Gua was angry about this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Isn't it good to have such a powerful disciple? It's still good. But if her cultivation speed is like flying, I'm afraid Yunichen won't be able to catch up with her. Tang Gua was extremely distressed. If Yunichen can't catch up with her, he won't let the cat out of the bag. Although he's a very shrewd person, he won't do anything that he's not confident in. Unless his strength can crush the Su clan, no matter how angry he is, he won't attack Wei Xian. Jiang Zilin said, do you know where Yunichen went? Tang Gua didn't notice it. Where did you go? The Mystic Thearch's territory. Jiang Zilin said. Seeing that Tang Gua was deep in thought, he continued, you should have guessed it already. Didn't the Mystic Thearch accept a successor back then? I saw that Yunichen went to that place unimpeded. That successor should be him. This person is really cunning. He didn't reveal anything. Tang Gua came back to her senses. The last time I saw Wei Xian and the others, Yunichen didn't do anything. He should be upset. Now that he has gone to the Mystic Thearch's territory, he should be looking for a way to increase his cultivation level quickly. At this point, Tang Gua paused and said, the Mystic Thearch became the Mystic Thearch because he used many unorthodox methods. What do you think will happen if Yunichen gets those unorthodox methods? Peak. Chapter 4706. Yunichen is the other half of the Mystic Thearch's soul. The Mystic Thearch should not be wary of Yunichen. Since he dared to split his soul, he should have a way to restrain the other half and take it back in the future. That's what I think too, Jiang Zilin said. Just wait and see how Yunichen will dig his own grave. Whether it's the emotion-severing technique or the Mystic Thearch's unorthodox techniques, they are all incomplete and not legitimate cultivation techniques. If you cultivate them for a long time, it's easy for problems to arise. Let's wait then. Although she was waiting, Tang Gua did not wait and did nothing. When she came to the array formation, Lin Chu and the rest were discussing Dao techniques. It was quite intense. She understood what they were thinking. They wanted to improve their cultivation and surprise the Azure Supreme Thearch and the rest. Ever since they became immortal emperors, they were not in a hurry to expose their strength. Seeing that Tang Gua had arrived, they stopped and even invited Tang Gua to discuss Dao. Tang Gua did not reject. She was just one step away from becoming a sage. Discussing Dao would benefit her. She did not look at the sage inheritance. She planned to comprehend it herself first. Jiang Zilin also said that with her talent, she had plenty of time to comprehend it herself. As for the inheritance of becoming a saint, it was merely the cultivation experience of a saint. After obtaining it, whether one could become a sage depended on one's comprehension ability. Therefore, Tang Guo was not very interested in it. The few of them discussed Tao for 5 years. In these 5 years, Lin Chu and the rest benefited a lot from Tang Guo. When they stopped, they looked at Tang Guo strangely. Lin Chu rolled his eyes and said, "Tang Guo, you keep saying, what is your cultivation level now? Don't tell me you're already a late-stage immortal emperor." Although 5 years had passed, they were still early-stage immortal emperors. They might stay in this realm for the next few hundred years or even 1,000 years. At this stage, it was very difficult to improve. It was already very fast to improve in 100 or 1,000 years. Tang Guo said honestly, "I'm still 1 step away. Just 1 step away from the late stage of the immortal emperor realm." Lei Yu heaved a sigh of relief. That's still acceptable. However, Lin Chu saw that Tang Guo was smiling without saying anything. He had a bad premonition in his heart. Are you just 1 step away from the late stage of the immortal emperor realm? Sure enough, Tang Guo smiled and did not say anything. Everyone understood and widened their eyes. Damn, it can't be, right? Just 1 step away from that realm. Wouldn't he be even more powerful than the Azure the Arch and the others? After so many years, the Azure the Arch and the others had yet to reach that level. Every time I feel that I'm very powerful, I lose all confidence when I see you. My pride and confidence are all shattered in front of you. Ao Xian said faintly, "In front of you, I feel no sense of accomplishment. Why do I have a friend like you?" That's right. The immortal world has Lei Yu. Why do we still need Tang Guo? With Tang Guo, why do we still need Lei Yu? Lei Yu sighed. Lin Chu, I'd better go back and refine pills. Anyway, I'm always the one at the bottom. Actually, I'm also at the bottom. Ling Qin said and patted Lin Chu's shoulder. Don't feel inferior. Lin Chu, at least you're the second from the bottom. I'm the first from the bottom. Shui Yang's beautiful eyes landed on Tang Guo's face. Seeing that Tang Guo was leaning on Jiang Zilin, she gritted her teeth. That's right. Why do we have a friend like Tang Guo? Not only does she cultivate faster than us, but she also destroys our confidence every time. She makes us feel no sense of accomplishment. Moreover, she's already accomplished the most important thing in her life and even found a suitable Dao partner. How infuriating. Peak. Chapter 4707. Ling Qin, Lin Chu, Ao Xian, and Lei Yu said in unison, "Yes, it's so infuriating." Ming Xiu said lightly, "Buddha also thinks it's infuriating." After a while, they returned to the main topic and asked if Tang Guo had reached that step. They had the same thoughts as the Lotus the Arch and the others. They hoped that someone could reach the threshold of a sage. That way, the entire celestial world would benefit greatly. As long as one person in the celestial world became a sage, there would be endless possibilities in the future. When a sage appeared, there would be a heavenly phenomenon. Everyone would have an epiphany. The sage would also preach the Tao in the future to benefit those who came after. Becoming a sage would not be too far away. Although it still depended on talent, with someone leading the way, the success rate would be greatly increased. It was better than the Lotus the Arch and the others fumbling around. I have some ideas. Tang Guo said. After discussing the Tao with them for 5 years, she had indeed gained something. However, she was still far from becoming a sage. When everyone heard this, they were all delighted. It's time for you to go out and train. She had already put the mystic torch into the soul stone. These people were also immortal emperors. Tang Guo did not have to worry about their safety. Lin Chu and the others heard this and felt that it was a good idea. They planned to train together and suppress their cultivation to the immortal Lord realm. They did not want to expose their true cultivation for the time being. They felt that it was really cool to do this. I won't go with you. I will go with Celine. When everyone heard this, they all looked understanding. Lin Chu said, Understood, understood. We will disturb the two of you. If they were not satisfied that Tang Guo liked Uni Chen, then they had no objections to Jiang Zilin being approved by Tang Guo. They felt that this was the only person who was worthy of Tang Guo. They were sincerely convinced. However, they still had a doubt in their hearts. Was Jiang Zilin a sage? They did not dare to guess. They guessed that he was, but they also felt that he was not. The main thing was, if there were sages in the celestial world, why had no one mentioned them? In the end, they felt that Jiang Zilin might be like Tang Guo. He was still one step away. Perhaps he had only touched the threshold and was in the quasi-sage realm. Tang Guo didn't know that they were thinking too much. She went out with Jiang Zilin to play in the celestial world. After the two of them left, Lin Chu and the others followed them out. During this time, Tang Guo also bumped into Wei Xian. Wei Xian's family was very respectful to her. They must have guessed something, so she didn't say anything. Wei Xian was also very tactful and didn't have any intention of following them. At this point, she felt that it was fine for Wei Xian to be her disciple. At least he was talented and had a good temperament. 10 years later, the immortal chi of the immortal world surged towards a certain place. Everyone in the immortal world was stunned. Another person is about to advance to the immortal emperor realm. Is it the same place as before? In less than 300 years, such a thing had happened 3 times. The people of the immortal world seemed to have gotten used to it. Their hearts were burning with passion. They wondered when it would be their turn to become an immortal emperor. No matter what, the breaking through to the immortal emperor realm seemed to have become easier. Maybe one day in the future, it would be them. When the people from the immortal world identified the direction, they discovered that the place where the anomaly occurred was not the Weeping Soul Forest, but another place. The Azure Supreme the Arch and the others were the first to rush over. They looked at the mystic Thearchus palace with complicated expressions and a bitter smile. It should be the successor of the mystic Arch, right? Lei Yu was a little dazed. What kind of successor did that fellow find to become an immortal emperor in such a short time? The Dragon Emperor said, It seems like you and I have both lost to the mystic Arch. This fella is usually quiet, but when he suddenly creates something big, it's really hard to catch up. Peak. Chapter 4708. His successor is about to become an immortal emperor. Why isn't the mystic the Arch doing anything? The water the Arch was confused. The Han the Arch said, maybe he's guarding at the side. The others were enlightened. That made sense. If it were them, they would be guarding by his side to prevent any trouble. At this moment, they were very envious of the mystic the Arch. They gritted their teeth and wondered if they should call their children back to beat them up. Who told them not to work hard? The latecomer was already ahead of them. Just as they were thinking, Lin Chu and the rest arrived. Tang Guo also arrived at the same time. Tang Guo and Jiang Zilin exchanged glances. Their guess was right. Uni Chen had found a way to increase his cultivation level quickly. He was following in the mystic Thearchus' footsteps. Come here. Look at him. He just became the mystic Thearchus' successor and he's already become an immortal emperor. Lei Di grabbed Lei Yu and smacked his butt twice. Then, he threw Lei Yu to the side in disdain. You're a disgrace to me. Lei Yu was not angry. He laughed and ran to one side. If his father hit him today, he would regret it in the future. The dragon the arch was the same. He grabbed Ao Xian and gave him a beating. You only know how to play. Look at how hard-working you are. You've embarrassed me. Ao Xian was not angry. He was much more powerful than the mystic Thearch's successor. He was just waiting for this old dragon to apologize to him. Hee hee. The Azure the Arch also saw Tanguo. Seeing that Tanguo was standing obediently at one side, he could not bear to hit her. He said softly, Guo, you've played enough outside. It's time to choose a time to go into seclusion. Okay, father, Tanguo replied with a smile on her face, which made the Qing Emperor feel strange. The Water the Arch also reminded Shui Yang, you should go into seclusion as well. Yes, mother. Shui Yang replied obediently. The Water the Arch saw that she was so obedient. Just like the Azure the Arch, he could not bear to hit his daughter. Sister. Before the Han the Arch could finish, Ling Qin said, Sister, you don't have to say any more. I'll go into seclusion soon. Ling Qin's background was somewhat legendary. She was the younger sister of the same father and mother after a strand of Emperor Han's soul was reincarnated. At that time, the two of them had a good relationship. Ling Qin's talent was pretty good, so Emperor Han brought her to the celestial world to be nurtured. Ming Xiu, have you comprehended anything in these few years? The Buddha the Arch couldn't help but ask. Dharma is endless. Don't slack off. Ming Xiu bowed. I understand, master. Ming Xiu will remember. Seeing Ming Xiu's serious expression, who knew that he would hide such a big secret from the Buddha the Arch? Dan Di looked at Lin Chu with a bitter expression. He slapped the back of Lin Chu's head and said, Go back and read the pill scripture. Copy down all my cultivation experiences. Okay, Dad. Lin Chu replied. He did not resist at all, which made the Pill Emperor feel strange. Then he thought about it and realized that this brat might also have been shocked. He comforted him, as long as you cultivate seriously, it's only a matter of time before you advance to the Immortal Emperor realm. You're just too lazy, that's why others have surpassed you. I understand, Dad. Facing the Pill Emperor's comforting words, Lin Chu was still a little touched. He didn't care about being hit on the back of his head. Countless people from the immortal world rushed over. When they saw that it was the mystic Thearch's palace, they felt much better. Everyone in the immortal world knew that the mystic the Arch had taken in a successor. However, they did not know who this successor was. It was very mysterious. Now, the mystic the Arch realm phenomenon should be caused by that mysterious successor, right? Countless people were discussing how lucky the mystic the Arch was. Peak. Chapter 4709. The Azure Supreme the Arch and company looked rather displeased. The mystic Supreme the Arch had snatched the opportunity before them. What else could they do? They couldn't possibly stuff their juniors' mouths with pills, right? 3 days later, the immortal aura stopped flowing into the mystic Thearch's palace. The crowd did not disperse, waiting for the person inside to come out. This time, the Azure Supreme the Arch and the others did not lock on to their surroundings. The mystic Thearch's successor was not considered a wild immortal the Arch. When the white fog dissipated and Uni Chen appeared in front of everyone, it was indeed shocking. At this moment, Uni Chen didn't conceal his aura. His imposing aura, which belonged to an immortal emperor, suppressed many of the people present, making it hard for them to breathe. The Azure Supreme the Arch and the others reacted very quickly. They hurriedly shielded the people behind them, in case anyone could not withstand the aura and get hurt. How could it be Uni Chen? Everyone was puzzled and looked at the Lotus Emperor. The Azure Supreme the Arch was also very innocent. He stared at Uni-Chen, his face full of doubt. Uni-Chen was the successor that the Mystic the Arch had found. Was that why the Mystic the Arch was so mysterious? Was it because the Mystic the Arch was afraid of being beaten by him? The Lotus Emperor said, "Yi-Chen, withdraw your aura." "All right." Uni-Chen retracted his aura slightly. "I just advanced to the Immortal Emperor stage, so I'm not used to it." Which one of the people present wasn't smart enough to get used to it? He just wanted to display the might of an Immortal Emperor. Because of this, the Azure the Arch and the others did not have high hopes for Uni-Chen. "Yi-Chen, are you the successor of the Mystic the Arch?" Emperor Qing finally asked. He naturally noticed that Uni-Chen's attitude towards him had changed. He felt very lucky that his daughter had chosen Jiang Zilin. Although he had never seen Jiang Zilin's face, he had a good impression of Jiang Zilin. Jiang Zilin's small actions were all to protect his daughter. No matter how powerful Uni-Chen was, he did not think that he would be good to his daughter. Jiang Zilin was not bad. He was the right candidate for his son-in-law. Emperor Qing was relieved. He didn't care about Uni-Chen's attitude. Anyway, as long as the engagement was cancelled, it had nothing to do with his daughter. Naturally, it had nothing to do with him. Uni-Chen replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Yes, Master told me not to reveal it for the time being, so I didn't make this matter public." Now, he finally stood at the pinnacle of the immortal world and didn't have to rely on others anymore. To be honest, Uni-Chen was indeed a little arrogant. The Azure Supreme the Arch and the others were nothing in his eyes. However, he did not intend to become enemies with them. He just would not bow to them like before and put himself in the position of a junior. In the immortal world, strength was still the most important thing. With his current strength, he was already able to stand on equal footing with them. I'm sure everyone knows this. Everyone present knew Uni-Chen's way of doing things. They instantly distanced themselves from him. In their hearts, they thought that he was indeed the successor of the Mystic the Arch. Their personalities were similar. No, he was much more arrogant than the Mystic the Arch. Lin Chu and the others looked at each other. They all agreed that Tang Guo's choice of Jiang Zilin was right. Look at Uni-Chen. Wasn't he just advancing to the Immortal the Arch realm? His tail was about to reach the sky. If it was in the past, they would have immediately revealed their cultivation levels to Uni-Chen and shown him what it meant by there was always someone better than you. But now, their goal was to become a sage. There was no point in revealing their cultivation levels just for a momentary dispute. If Uni-Chen liked to jump, then let him jump. He better not do anything overboard. Otherwise, they would come out and beat him up. I see, the Thunder Emperor said. Why hasn't the Mystic the Arch come out? Peek. Chapter 47:10. Uni-Chen didn't know about this either. He said honestly, when I advanced, Master didn't appear. He should have been in seclusion. No one found it strange that the Mystic the Arch didn't appear. In their impression, the Mystic the Arch had such a personality. When many big things happened in the celestial world, the Mystic the Arch might be absent. However, they didn't expect him to not appear when his disciple advanced to the Immortal Emperor realm. He was such a ruthless person. However, their expressions soon turned ugly. The Mystic the Arch didn't appear. Did he think that advancing to the Immortal Emperor realm was a normal thing? He was simply looking down on them. As expected, both master and disciple were arrogant. Everyone, I still have some things to deal with. I won't accompany you any longer. Uni-Chen cupped his hands towards everyone. He took out a flying treasure and flew somewhere. Now that he was an Immortal Emperor, it was time to settle things with the Su clan. Su Sai stole his wife. If he didn't destroy the Su clan, he wouldn't be Unichen. He had been holding back his anger for a long time. Wei Xian chose Su Sai. He could forgive her. When she recovered her memories, he believed that she would choose again. There was also Wei Ming. He was his son. He had to get him back. Even if Unichen didn't want him, he couldn't let others take advantage of him. He could kill them back then. Today, he could kill them too. It would be perfect for his emotion-severing art. When everyone saw Unichen's killing intent, they knew that he was going to settle things. They sighed in their hearts. They didn't know who provoked this fiend. Now, they were going to be unlucky. Even the Azure the Arch and the others didn't think of stopping him. Other people's grudges had nothing to do with them. They didn't care about this. Then, let's disperse. The Azure the Arch said. Today's Immortal Emperor realm breakthrough was the most awkward in the history of the celestial world. Guo go back and cultivate. Tang Guo rejected. Father, I still have some things to do. I'll come back later. After speaking, Tang Guo pulled Jiang Zilin and left. The Azure the Arch looked at the empty spot and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lei Yu. Go back and cultivate. Ao Xian, go back and cultivate. Tang Guo and Jiang Zilin went to the Tsang prefecture. They found a secret place and Jiang Zilin brought Tang Guo to a tea house. Unichen can't hold back any longer. He's going to make a move on the Su family. Looking at him, I'm afraid he wants to massacre the entire Su family. Jiang Zilin said, he's capable of doing that. Tang Guo took a sip of tea and realized that someone had sent her a message. She took it out and realized that it was Lin Chu and the others. They were all asking her where she was. Tang Guo sent messages back one by one. Sangzhou, come here. I have something to tell you. When Lin Chu and the others received the news, they took advantage of the fact that the Immortal Emperor at home wasn't paying attention and slipped away. They all rushed to the Tsang prefecture and didn't forget to send a message to Tang Guo. Tang Guo, why didn't you ask Brother Jiang to bring us along? Bringing us along is just a matter of convenience. No matter how fast they were, it would still take them 2 to 3 days to get there, and that was with the teleportation array. However, there were some places where teleportation arrays couldn't be used. The celestial world was too big. After Tang Guo finished reading, she didn't return. She just waited in the tea house. 2 days later, Unichen came to the Tsang prefecture. At the same time, Lin Chu and the others also rushed to meet Tang Guo. What do you want us to do? Lin Chu asked. Tang Guo stood up. Let's go to the Su family. The Su family. Lin Chu and the others didn't understand. What was the relationship between the Su family and Tang Guo? They knew that the Su family in the Tsang prefecture had a few more immortal lords, and their strength had greatly increased. Peak. Chapter 47:11. Without asking any questions, they followed Tang Guo to the Su family. They happened to see the people of the Su family being suppressed by Unichen with great strength. All of them were vomiting blood and their faces were extremely pale. I'll wait here for Wei Xian to come back. Unichen sat in front of the people of the Su family. Before she comes back, I won't do anything to you. It turned out that Wei Xian's family of 3 had gone to train and weren't at the Su family. Unichen decided to show off his power to the Su family first. He didn't plan to let the Su family off. Even if he didn't kill everyone in the Su family, he would cripple their experts. As for Su Sai, he had to kill her to relieve the hatred in his heart. Tang Guo, what do you want us to do? Lin Chu was confused. You're still wearing a bamboo hat. You don't want people to see your true face. What are you doing? In a while, you guys go and mediate. No matter what Uni-Chen wants to do, don't reveal your true strength without my permission. I'll tell you everything after everything is over. Tang Guo's words confused Lin Chu and the others, but they were still willing to do as she said. They all believed that Tang Guo wouldn't do something useless. When Wei Xian comes back, you guys go and mediate. There's no need to do anything. He won't dare to do anything to you. Shui Yang replied, got it. I also want to know what Uni-Chen wants to do. A day later, Wei Xian and the other two rushed back. When they saw the sorry state of the Su family, they were so angry that their eyes turned red. Uni-Chen. When Wei Xian saw Uni-Chen, he understood everything. I've said it very clearly. It's impossible between us. Besides, Brother Sai and I are already Dao companions. I advise you to give up. Also, I heard that you and Fairy Tang are engaged. Do you think you're worthy of Fairy Tang by doing this? At this moment, Wei Xian hoped that this matter would blow up. It would be best if Fairy Tang knew that she was her master. How could a man like Uni-Chen be worthy of her master? When the onlookers heard Wei Xian's words, they were stunned. What? Uni-Chen was interested in Wei Xian, so he came to the Su family to cause trouble. Uni-Chen didn't care about the gazes of others. Now that he was already in the Immortal Emperor realm, there was no need for him to care about the Azure Emperor. As for his engagement with Tang Guo, he could just cancel it. No one could force Uni-Chen to do something he didn't want to do. So what if the Azure the Arch was not satisfied? He didn't believe that the other immortal emperors would help the Azure Emperor deal with him just because of an engagement. He was alone and didn't care about anything. The other immortal emperors weren't so foolish as to attack him. I'm here today to take you and Ming away. Uni-Chen looked at Wei Ming with satisfaction in his eyes. Wei Ming was indeed his son. He was already a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. He should be able to enter the Immortal Lord realm in a few years. I'll take you to the Dark Palace to cultivate. Dark Palace? Wasn't that the Mystic Thearcha's palace? My master is the Mystic Thearch. The fact that Uni-Chen's master was the Mystic Thearch hadn't spread throughout the immortal world yet. However, it should spread very soon. Wei Xian shook her head. I don't care who you are. As long as you're my disciple, I won't go with you. The Su family is my home. Whether it was in the mortal world's cultivation world or the immortal world, the Su family was considered a pretty good family. At least they weren't ungrateful people. She got along very well with them. Peak. Chapter 47:12. Now that they were in trouble because of her, Wei Xian couldn't just ignore it. Uni-Chen, it's impossible between us. Oh. Is that so? Uni-Chen's eyes hardened. If you're not willing, I will kill one person from the Su family. You can think about it first and give me an answer tomorrow. When everyone heard this, they felt that Uni-Chen was arrogant and cruel. He was obviously here to steal his wife. Su Sai was furious. Uni-Chen, if you have anything, then come at me. No, I don't want to kill you now. I'll kill your Su family first and see if you want the Su family or Wei Xian. Everyone was shocked. He wasn't giving Su Sai a way out. Sure enough, Su Sai's eyes were completely red. Uni-Chen was pushing her too far. Uni-Chen, aren't you going overboard? Shui Yang walked out. Wei Xian doesn't like you, so why are you forcing him and using the Su family's life to force him? When Uni-Chen saw Shui Yang, he frowned, but he didn't have any intention of attacking. Because behind Shui Yang was the Water Emperor. Unless he had no other choice, he didn't want to be enemies with the immortal emperors. This shouldn't be your problem. Shui Yang said fearlessly. It really isn't my problem, but I think you're going overboard. I'm only trying to persuade you because you're still engaged to Tanghua. What you're doing today is giving her face. Yes, you're not giving Tanghua face. Lin Chu added. We're all Tanghua's friends. Now that you want to kill a married woman, how is Tanghua going to survive in the immortal world? Yuni Chen, if you weren't related to Tanghua, we wouldn't have stood out. Lei Yu said. Ao Xian said, what you're doing now is equivalent to slapping Tanghua in the face. How can we let you do that? When Ming Xiu saw Yuni Chen, he frowned. Yuni Chen, since you've already broken free from your shackles, you should do some good deeds. Don't dig your own grave. When Tanghua heard this, she knew that Ming Xiu had noticed something. I will cancel my engagement with Tanghua after this. I will have nothing to do with her in the future. Yuni Chen was in a bad mood, but he could not do anything to these people. He was already thinking that after this matter was settled, he would continue to cultivate and strive to become a saint. Once he became a saint, everyone below the saint level would be nothing but ants. He would no longer have to be wary of anyone. But you haven't annulled your engagement with Tanghua. If you do this, you will still sully Tanghua's reputation. If you kill a member of the Su family today, in the future, when people mention you, they will say that Yuni Chen is Tanghua's future Dao companion. Ling Qin interrupted Yuni Chen's thoughts. If you want us to stay out of this matter, then cancel your engagement with Tanghua first. Tanghua did not expect that these people could help her so much. Yuni Chen's expression turned ugly, but Ling Qin was telling the truth. He thought for a moment, then directly sent a message to Tanghua and Emperor Qing, stating that he wanted to annul the engagement. Such a direct and efficient action caused an uproar among the onlookers. Did Yuni Chen treat Emperor Qing and Tanghua as stepping stones? For a moment, many people sympathized with Tanghua in their hearts, and some were even angry. No matter what, Tanghua was a fairy in many people's dreams in the immortal world. When Emperor Qing received the news, he was not very angry, but when he saw that Yuni Chen wanted him to go to the Su family in Sangzhou, he was not very satisfied, but he still agreed. Peak. Chapter 47:13. At the same time, he also sent a message to Tanghua. Tanghua replied, Father, I'm going out to play. You can do as you see fit. It's good that he wants to cancel the engagement. I don't have to mention it again. The Lotus Supreme the Arch saw this and did not look for Tanghua. He and Han Ro would go over. Because of this, Yuni Chen did not attack the Su family for the time being. The people here waited for 2 days before the Lotus Supreme the Arch and Han Ro arrived. Not only did they come, but the Thunder Supreme and the rest also came. They even informed the Mystic the Arch about this. Unfortunately, there was no news, so they could only come first. In 2 days, this matter had blown up. Many people rushed over to watch the show. Now, everyone in the immortal world knew that Yuni Chen was using the Lotus Supreme the Arch and Tanghua as his stepping stones. Unfortunately, he was the mystic Thearcha's disciple and an immortal emperor. Even if the Lotus Supreme the Arch was angry, he could not do anything to him. On the way, the Lotus Supreme the Arch also knew about Yuni Chen's actions and almost fainted from anger. This kid was an ingrate. He regretted not secretly slapping Yuni Chen to death. You want to cancel the engagement with Guo? The Lotus Supreme the Arch looked at Yuni Chen fiercely. Reason? Even if he wanted to cancel the engagement, he needed a reason. Yuni Chen was too arrogant and did not take anyone seriously. Yuni Chen saw everyone's gaze and did not mind at all. At this moment, he did not need to be afraid of anything. Fairy Tang and I are not suitable, Chen looked at Wei Xian and said honestly, "I've found someone I really want to be my Dao companion." Wei Xian felt nauseous. She did not know how to face Tang Guo anymore. She looked left and right. Seeing that Tang Guo was not here, she heaved a sigh of relief. "Actually, Wei Xian is my wife in the mortal world. Back then, I thought she was dead," Chen said. Chen said. Wei Xian had already lost her memories and didn't know the past. He didn't think it was a big deal to say it. "I only found out that she was still alive when we met by chance. Wei Ming is my child. It's a pity that Wei Xian doesn't remember me anymore. We were once very loving. I don't know why she lost her memory. Maybe the Su family did something. Now that she's back, I can't give up on her. So, Emperor Qing, I can't be with Fairy Tang," Chen said. Everyone hesitated. If that was the case, then Chen's actions today were justified. He thought that his wife was dead, so he had an engagement with Tang Guo. Later, when he found out that his wife was not dead, he wanted to find her and break off the engagement with Tang Guo. It was not a big mistake. Instead, it was a responsible act. Although Chen's actions were a little extreme, he had said that Wei Xian had lost his memories and suspected that the Su family had done something. Then, he was angry because Wei Xian had been deceived by the Su family. Implicating the Su family didn't seem to be a big deal. If they were in his shoes, they might be even angrier than Chen. When the onlookers heard this, they all quieted down. Even Lin Chu and the others were stunned. They all looked in Tang Guo's direction. When they saw that Tang Guo didn't move, they subconsciously felt that things might not be as simple as they thought. Even the Emperor Qing was stunned. Was there such a thing? If that was the case, he couldn't be angry with Chen. Wei Ming's eyes widened. This despicable guy was his father. To be honest, he would rather not have a father. Su Sai's face turned pale. No wonder Chen wanted to snatch Wei Xian away. He quickly held Wei Xian's hand. The most difficult moment of fate had come. Would Wei Xian stay or choose Chen? Peak. Chapter 47:14. When Su Sai held Wei Xian's hand, she realized that Wei Xian's hand was cold. Her face was pale, and her eyes were filled with pain. However, many people were focused on Chen and the Lotus Supreme the Arch. No one was paying attention to Wei Xian. "Lotus Supreme the Arch, let's call off the engagement between Fairy Tang and I. If this continues, it won't be good for either of us." The Lotus Supreme the Arch had no choice but to nod. "In that case, we can't force it. I announce that from today onwards, Chen and my daughter, Tang Guo, are no longer engaged." Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He dared to admit that Wei Xian was his wife because Wei Xian had lost her memory. Not only could he use this to call off the engagement, but he could also make Wei Xian hesitate. Wei Ming was his son. Naturally, he had to follow him and cultivate. He had also found an excuse for the Su family. Su Sai must have done something to deceive Wei Xian, and the Su family had helped her. In that case, he had an excuse to punish the Su family. No one would say anything against him. Speaking of which, he was still grateful to Tang Guo and her friends. If they hadn't caused such a ruckus, the people of the celestial world would have thought that he was being unreasonable. Chen is very good at it, Tang Guo said with a smile to Jiang Zilin. "Zilin, help Wei Xian. Her memory is about to recover." She could also help, but Jiang Zilin was a saint after all. He could do it without anyone noticing. There were countless celestial emperors present. If she helped, she would be easily discovered. "Okay. After Jiang Zilin responded, he cast a spell and landed in between Wei Xian's eyebrows. At that moment, Wei Xian's eyes were filled with confusion. It was as if she had fallen into many images. Xian. Su Sai called out to Wei Xian. Seeing that Wei Xian didn't respond, she was very nervous. Wei Ming looked worried. Uncle Su, Yuni-chen isn't a good person. I don't want to acknowledge him. However, if we don't agree, he will definitely attack the Su family. So, if we agree, we won't be willing. Uncle Su, don't be sad. Once I'm successful in my cultivation, I'll definitely bring mother back. Wei Ming knew very well what it meant to stay alive. Since he couldn't escape, he could only compromise for the time being. Uncle Su, mother likes you. Don't give up when it comes to that. Su Sai felt terrible. I know. However, he couldn't bring himself to ask the Su family to pay with their lives. If Yuni-chen wanted his life, then so be it. But there were thousands of people in the Su family. They couldn't afford to gamble. Uncle Su, don't be sad. We all understand. We aren't children anymore. There's nothing to lose if we die. There's only hope if we're alive, Wei Ming said. I'll surpass him sooner or later. By then, I won't have to be afraid anymore. Ming, why do you think he's not a good person? Wei Ming snorted coldly. If he really cared about my mother, he wouldn't have used such methods to force her. To put it bluntly, he is just being selfish. At this moment, Yuni-chen's voice reached everyone's ears. If that's the case, I have nothing to do with Fairy Tang. His gaze swept across the crowd. When he saw Wei Xian's position, he walked over. At this moment, everyone didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Yuni-chen's actions. This was his private matter. Even Lin Chu and the others couldn't say much. Lin Chu and the others looked at Tangua's position. Seeing that Tangua didn't have any other instructions, they didn't move. Yuni-chen walked towards Wei Xian step by step. When he saw that Wei Xian's eyes were dazed, he thought that Wei Xian couldn't accept this. I didn't lie to you. We were indeed a loving couple. Ming and I are connected by blood. This point can be verified using many methods. Whether it's true or not, we can verify it. Peek. Chapter 47:15. If you are willing to leave with me today, I will let the Su family go. In the future, when I find out that the Su family did not play any tricks, I will truly let them go. If your memory loss is related to them, I will naturally not let them go. Yuni-chen stood in front of Wei Xian with an indifferent gaze, waiting for her reaction. The onlookers also held their breaths, wanting to see what Wei Xian, who had lost her memory, would choose. For some reason, they suddenly pitied Yuni-chen. If Yuni-chen was not so powerful, he might only be able to watch Wei Xian be lovey-dovey with someone else. Not everyone dared to offend the Su family in Songzhou. From the looks of it, Yuni-chen was really a character. He knew how to endure. I know it is hard for you to accept at the moment. Don't worry, I can wait here for your response. Wei Xian's consciousness was slowly coming back. Just now, countless images flashed through her mind. She was only digesting a part of her lost memory. That part of her memory was not erased by someone else. She had lost it herself. That part of her memory was very beautiful but also very cruel. Because it was too painful, she could not accept that fact, so she lost her memory. When Wei Xian's eyes became clear again, everyone's gaze was on her. I will not leave with you. Wei Xian's voice was very cold, and so was her gaze. Give up. We are husband and wife, Yuni-chen said. He did not know that Wei Xian had already recovered her memory. Wei Xian let go of Su Sai's hand and ruthlessly slapped Yuni Chen's face. The loud slap stunned everyone. What was going on? Even the Azure the Arch and the others stopped in their tracks because of this slap. Could there be more to it? Yuni Chen, you are shameless. You are disgusting. After Wei Xian scolded him, she laughed and mocked, am I really your wife? Since I am your wife, why did you pierce my heart with a sword? Wei Xian's words shocked everyone. What? You said I am dead. Didn't you kill me with your own hands? When you killed me, I was indeed pregnant with your child. Wei Xian's expression was sorrowful. I've searched for the truth for a long time. Since it's like this, if I had known earlier, I wouldn't have searched for the truth. I don't regret being with Brother Sai, but it's a pity that I've implicated him. Yuni Chen, let the Su family go. Wei Xian's eyes dimmed. Let the Su family go and I'll go with you. Yuni Chen's expression was dark and uncertain. Anyone who had just set up their image would feel the same way when it was suddenly destroyed. Everyone was stunned by the sudden turn of events. Yuni Chen was looking for his wife. Did he kill her himself? Then, his previous persona would no longer exist. In that case, Yuni Chen was still treating Fairy Tang as a stepping stone. Sure, come with me, Yuni Chen said. If you and Ming, come with me, I will let the Su family go. However, Yuni Chen thought that he would coax the other party today and settle the score with the Su family later. When Wei Xian saw this, how could she not know what Yuni Chen was thinking? However, before she could speak, Su Sai stood in front of Wei Xian and said to Yuni Chen, I announce that I am severing all ties with the Su family. From today onwards, I, Su Sai, am no longer a member of the Su family. Yuni Chen, I will not let you take Xian away. If you and Xian are really in love and Xian chooses you, I, Su Sai, have nothing to say. However, you once killed Xian Even if I die today, I will not let you take her away. Peak. Chapter 47:16. Who do you think you are? Yuni Chen was furious and sent Su Sai flying with a slap. An immortal emperor's slap severely injured Su Sai on the spot, and the Su family members couldn't move. They saw all this but couldn't stop it. They only knew that the Su family was in trouble and that Wei Xian had a tough life. Brother Sai. Wei Xian quickly ran over and helped Su Sai up. Brother Sai, don't worry about me. This person is a lunatic. His cultivation technique is like this. He kills his family, his wife, and his friends, Wei Xian said. This is the heartless Dao. Meeting him is destined to be a disaster for me. I implicated you. Meeting you in this life is my, Wei Xian Dao's, good fortune. As he spoke, Wei Xian secretly placed a jade pendant in Su Sai's hand and transmitted his voice. This is the jade pendant that master left me. It is said that it can save your life in danger. If you encounter danger, crush it. When Yuni Chen and I leave, move the Su family away and find an expert to protect you. Give the cultivation experience that master gave you to protect the Su family. Xian I don't want you to lose your lives because of me. That will make me feel uneasy. Wei Xian didn't crush the jade pendant immediately because he wasn't sure how powerful it was. Yuni Chen was now an immortal emperor. If he couldn't deal with him, he would be furious and implicate the Su family. Since that was the case, why not give the jade pendant to Su Sai? She could leave with Yuni Chen and still have some time. After speaking, Wei Xian let go of Su Sai and walked towards Yuni Chen. I'll go with you. When Yuni Chen saw Su Sai's sorry state, his mood suddenly improved. That was good too. There were so many people today, so he wouldn't cause trouble for the Su family. He would bring Wei Xian back first. Su Sai looked at Wei Xian's back and finally clenched her teeth and crushed the jade pendant. She couldn't wait any longer. She didn't know what miracle the jade pendant would bring. If it couldn't do anything, then she would bring the Su family to seek help from an expert. When the Su family was settled, she would go find Unichen. The moment the jade pendant broke, Tang Guo felt it. Tang Guo whispered to Jiang Zilin, "It's my turn." Jiang Zilin let go of Tang Guo's hand. "Okay, I won't go there." He knew that Tang Guo wanted to play. "Let's play first. I've already sealed the surroundings. After we're done, we'll capture Unichen's soul." Su Sai looked at the broken jade pendant. There was no miracle, and her heart was filled with endless sorrow. Had his fate with Xian come to an end? "Who is summoning me?" Tang Guo's voice reached everyone's ears. At the same time, a super strong pressure came crashing down. Everyone was careless and was pressed to the ground. Only the immortal emperors present were able to withstand it. The Azure the Arch revealed a shocked expression as he exchanged glances with the Thunder the Arch and the others. "Why have I never heard of such an expert before?" "Neither have I," the Thunder the Arch was shocked. "She's too strong. She's probably in the pre-saint realm, right?" The Thunder Thearch's guess was right. Tang Guo was indeed in the pre-saint realm. She was just one step away from becoming a saint. This step required the right time, the right place, and the right people. It was very difficult. I didn't expect there to be such an expert in the celestial realm. "Look, she's there." The Alchemy the Arch stared at the place where Tang Guo had landed. It was right in front of Su Sai. The Dragon the Arch came back to his senses and wanted to see how his son was doing. After all, only an immortal emperor could stand with such a strong aura. The others were definitely lying on the ground. Peak. Chapter 47:17. When he saw that Ao Xian and the others were still standing, although it was a little strenuous, they were really standing. He was a little surprised. The Dragon Emperor noticed it, and so did the Azure Emperor and the rest. They looked at the smug faces of Ao Xian and the rest and felt that something was amiss. However, it was not the right time to ask. They just stared at Tang Guo. Tang Guo was wearing a white veil bamboo hat. She looked very ordinary, but no one dared to use their divine senses to check her. Who would dare to use their divine senses on such an expert? They would be courting death. "Are you the one who summoned me?" Tang Guo asked the dumbfounded Su Sai. Her gaze landed on the broken jade pendant in Su Sai's hand. At this moment, everyone reacted. Their gazes landed on Su Sai. Wei Xian was also stunned. Seeing Tang Guo's white clothes, white veil, and bamboo hat, as well as her powerful and vast aura, he was a little confused. Could it be that he had guessed wrongly? Was this her master, and Fairy Tang only looked like her master? "Why is this jade pendant in your hands?" Tang Guo asked again. "Tell me, how did you get this jade pendant?" "This is something that I gave to my disciple." Wei Xian reacted and quickly ran in front of Tang Guo. He bowed to Tang Guo and said, "Wei Xian greets Master." "Master, he is disciple's Tao companion." Su Sai also reacted. She hurriedly prostrated on the ground. "Su Sai greets Master. Please help Xian." Su Sai was very excited. This was really a glimmer of hope. She did not expect that a jade pendant could summon Xian's master. Did this mean that Xian's crisis was resolved? Lin Chu and the rest's mouths twitched. They looked at each other. They felt that they were not as good as Tang Guo. When did this fellow take in a disciple? And it was Wei Xian. He seemed to be quite talented. No wonder he had planned this carefully. Perhaps he had expected this. House of Hearts, good disciple, get up and tell me what's wrong. Tang Guo's tone was light. She sounded very young and familiar. However, Wei Xian and Su Sai didn't dare to think too much about it. Now that his master was here, Wei Xian seemed to have found his pillar of support. He recounted everything that had happened to him. He didn't leave out anything and didn't add any details. After everyone heard this, they felt that Yuni Chen was too much. Yuni Chen looked at Tang Guo with an unsightly expression. He wasn't afraid. Although the other party was strong, he was still an immortal emperor and wouldn't lose his life. Yuni Chen, you actually dare to bully this sovereign's disciple. Tang Guo looked at Yuni Chen. Yuni Chen's expression was very indifferent. He was extremely disgusted with Tang Guo. Everything that happened today was beyond his expectations. I won't give up on Xian. I regret what I did to her in the past. Now that I've met Xian again, I will make it up to her. Yuni Chen felt that as long as he made it up to her, everything would go according to his plan. He was already an immortal emperor and could control his own life. Tang Guo said coldly, get lost. Xian has already made her choice. I won't give up. Then I can only kill you. Tang Guo instantly landed in front of Yuni Chen. She had wanted to beat him up for a long time. Finally, she had the chance. Yuni Chen didn't expect Tang Guo to attack him so suddenly. He had no choice but to fight back. When they exchanged blows, he knew that he wasn't a match for Tang Guo. However, he couldn't take it lying down. No matter what realm he was at, there was always someone restricting him. This made him break down a little. Tang Guo was basically suppressing Yuni Chen. Peak. Chapter 47:18. Yuni Chen was careless and was slapped in the face by Tang Guo. Wei Xian was delighted to hear that. This scum, what bullshit compensation. Yuni Chen had never experienced heart-wrenching pain before. Could it be that master isn't Fairy Tang? Wei Xian whispered to Su Sai. Did we misunderstand? Su Sai said, maybe they look alike. That's true. As soon as the two finished talking, Tang Guo's ordinary bamboo hat was blown away by Yuni Chen's strength. When everyone saw that the bamboo hat was broken, they all looked at Tang Guo and were stunned. Wasn't this Fairy Tang? When Emperor Qing saw this, he almost couldn't catch his breath. Emperor Qing and the others also widened their eyes and their eyeballs almost fell out. This can't be, right? Emperor Qing asked Han Ro, is that our daughter? I think so. Han Ro looked at Tang Guo and answered hesitantly, yes, she is our daughter. Isn't she a little strong? Ro, are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Han Ro took a few more glances and her hands were trembling. She said with certainty, yes, she's our daughter. Ro, slap me. I think this is a dream. Slap. Han Ro didn't hold back and slapped Emperor Qing, making his face turn red. Seeing Emperor Qing's red face, Han Ro quickly rubbed it. Brother Qing, does it hurt? Your face is red. It's not a dream. Yes, it's not a dream. Emperor Qing smiled foolishly. No one knew what he was thinking. He looked at Tang Guo with bright eyes. When Yuni Chen saw Tang Guo's true face, he was also stunned. He subconsciously shouted, Xiao Guo, since you recognized me, I won't hide it. It's me. Tang Guo admitted that she did intend to announce everything today. Besides dealing with Yuni Chen, she also wanted to do something else. 16K Chinese Yuni Chen didn't attack again. Why? Eternal hatred. Tang Guo intended to announce the feud and the matter regarding the mystic torch. She would also announce it. Yuni Chen was puzzled, and so was everyone else. Yuni Chen didn't understand what it meant, but he felt danger. Even though his face was swollen, he couldn't care less and planned to run. He felt a sense of desperation from Tang Guo. His intuition told him that if he didn't run, he would regret it. Zilin, catch him. Tang Guo didn't bother with Yuni Chen anymore. It was enough to create momentum. Jiang Zilin instantly appeared beside Yuni Chen. He gently grabbed Yuni Chen and caught him. Furthermore, he sealed Yuni Chen's cultivation. At this moment, Yuni Chen was like an ordinary person who could be trampled on. Wei Xian was stunned. Fairy Tang was her master. It seemed like today's matter was under her control. Perhaps you have many doubts. Tang Guo took out the soul stone. Do you know who this is? Everyone didn't understand, but they knew that Tang Guo was an immortal emperor. They were guessing whether she was the 9th or 10th immortal emperor. Besides these two, they couldn't guess anything else. The person inside is the mystic torch. Tang Guo threw out an image stone. The immortal world was about to usher in a prosperous era. Before everyone could react to how the mystic torch ended up in Tang Guo's hands, they were attracted by the image in the image stone. It was the image left behind when the mystic torch went to kill Tang Guo. Everyone was shocked and they heard the reason why the mystic torch wanted to kill Tang Guo. In order to chase after someone who might become a sage, the mystic torch wanted to kill all the descendants of immortal emperors. His mentality was so vicious that it refreshed their understanding. Peak. Chapter 47:19. When the Azure Supreme Torch and the others saw the mystic torch in the image stone, they couldn't believe that this was the mystic torch they knew. In order to obtain the sage's inheritance, he actually wanted to kill all of their descendants to provoke their anger so that they would go and find the newly ascended immortal emperor. If not for Tang Guo's strength, wouldn't the mystic torch have succeeded? When the people of the immortal world saw this, they all took out their image stones and started recording. Gosh, they had actually been watching the Mystic Thearchus drama. When they saw that the mystic torch actually said that he wasn't a descendant of the sage, but a lucky person who had survived the sage's era and accidentally met a severely injured junior of the sages. After killing him, he obtained the token and obtained this identity. Everyone was speechless. This was too scary. At this moment, the Azure Supreme Torch and the others couldn't wait to pull the mystic torch out of the soul stone and beat him up. When they heard that Yuni Chen was actually a part of the mystic Thearchus soul, they didn't know what to say. The mystic torch schemed against the sage's inheritance. He schemed against Wei Xian and Tang Guo. If not for Tang Guo stopping him, all the descendants of the immortal emperor would have been schemed against by him. The contents of the image stone sent chills down everyone's spine, especially the Azure Supreme Torch and the others. They never thought that the mystic torch, who was crazy about seclusion, was such a person. In front of them, the mystic torch had pretended too well. Now, they also realized that the mystic torch had appeared a few times just to find out how their juniors were doing. If it weren't for Tang Guo, there wouldn't be a single junior left in their family. Since that's the case, let's kill this Yuni Chen too. The Azure Supreme Thearchus expression turned cold. This guy actually schemed against his daughter. If his daughter wasn't strong enough, who could have stopped him? Wei Xian also said, "Master, can I kill him personally?" Unexpectedly, Tang Guo shook her head. No. Everyone was confused. If such a vicious person wasn't killed, it would bring disaster to the entire immortal world. Who knew who Yuni Chen would scheme against in the future? No one was afraid. He was too vicious. If we kill him, we will fall into the cycle of reincarnation. Tangua's words shocked everyone. What else did this guy do? Tangua took out a medicine bottle. I have a medicine here called a dream of unrealized millet. It can let you know Yunichen's life and death. After you see it, you will understand what is going on. Tangua floated into the air. She poured the powder out of the bottle. Those who are willing to know Yunichen's life and death, don't resist the powder falling on your body. These were the many versions that Ziyun had come up with. He knew that she needed them, so he had never stopped researching them. Actually, she hadn't used these for a long time, but Ziyun had given them to her, so she received them. This time, a pipe dream was from Yunichen's perspective, allowing everyone to see Yunichen's experience. If she didn't tell everyone, they probably wouldn't understand why she didn't kill Yunichen. In addition, she also wanted to announce this matter to the public. When everyone heard this, they allowed the powder to float onto their bodies. At that moment, they were immersed in Yunichen's life. It was like watching a lantern on horseback. In less than 4 hours, they finished watching Yunichen's life. They knew that Yunichen was born a good-for-nothing and was bullied by others. After that, Yunichen obtained an opportunity and cultivated the emotion-severing technique. Chapter 47:20. He met Wei Xian and got married to her. He killed Wei Xian just to ascend and become an immortal. After reaching the immortal world, he didn't reject Tangua. Just like what they knew, he chose to get engaged to her. However, in his dream, Tangua didn't seem to recognize all this. She did everything for Yunichen, but her heart didn't warm up. From Yunichen's perspective, he felt that this was something he could make use of. Yunichen defeated Lin Chu. Because of this, Lin Chu was left with an inner demon, and he didn't improve for many years. Yunichen went to the Desolate Sea Mystic Realm and killed Ao Xian. He trapped Lei Yu's soul in the Soul Stone and framed Lei Yu for Ao Xian's death. Yunichen unintentionally saved the injured Shui Yang. Because of this, he won Shui Yang's heart. However, all of this was part of the mystic Thearka's scheme. Shui Yang was injured because of his scheme. Because of this, Shui Yang and Tangua got into an argument. In the end, she was killed. Ming Xiu saw that something was wrong with Yunichen. He tried to persuade Yunichen to be kind. However, he was secretly killed by the mystic Thearch. The descendants of the immortal Thearch either died or were injured. Yunichen met Wei Xian again. Just like what they knew, he wanted to make it up to Wei Xian. He almost killed Su Sai and was chased away by Wei Xian. After that, Wei Xian was hidden by Tangua. Yunichen thought that Tangua was going to harm Wei Xian and went to find Tangua. Tangua didn't tell Wei Xian where she was. She was injured by the other party. Then, her soul was searched. After that, her cultivation was crippled. Yunichen was severely injured by the Azure Supreme Thearch. He found Wei Xian and told her the truth. Wei Xian still recovered her memories. When Yunichen said that he wanted to make it up to her, Wei Xian killed him without hesitation. Yunichen used a secret technique to start a new life with Wei Xian. Wei Xian noticed this and also used a secret technique to refuse to be with him. Both of their secret techniques could be considered as ancient secret techniques from the time of the sages. When the two of them multiplied, it became an eternal grudge. If there was no solution, not only would the two of them be entangled for eternity, but the rest of them would also be entangled. Everyone's eyes cleared up, and they looked at Yunichen with a complicated expression. This was a cruel and unscrupulous person. Do you think it's appropriate for me to trap Yunichen's soul in a soul stone? In this way, the souls in the soul stone will be immortal and will not affect the fate of the people in this world. Tangua's voice sounded in everyone's ears and received everyone's agreement. How many lifetimes had they restarted? If they killed Chen, they would continue to do so. They could understand why Tang Guo was so powerful. The heavenly Tao must have given her a chance to survive, and she grabbed it. Not only did she grasp it, but she also wanted to change the fate of everyone in this world and undo the shackles of fate. For a moment, everyone looked at Tang Guo with gratitude. The Lotus Supreme, the Arch, and the rest had complicated expressions. If they did not undo the shackles, they would never be able to enter the sage realm. The secret techniques of the ancient sages were indeed powerful. This should be a forbidden secret technique. After the great tribulation of heaven and earth, it accidentally leaked out. When Tang Guo took out the soul stone, Chen naturally knew about it and wanted to escape. However, he was like a little chick in Jiang Zilin's hands and could not escape at all. His eyes were filled with despair and viciousness. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Jiang Zilin quickly smacked his body and pulled out his soul. Before Chen could say anything, he was stuffed into the soul stone. Tang Guo smiled and said, "I've prepared a gift for you. I still don't know who is more powerful, you or the mystic the Arch." Everyone was scared to death just now. They were afraid that Chen would curse again if something went wrong. Chen did think so. He had obtained the ancient curse from the mystic realm. There were more than one. Unfortunately, before he could do so, he was stopped by Jiang Zilin. Peak. Chapter 47-21. Their souls were trapped in the soul stone, unable to escape. Tang Guo kept the soul stone, which meant that everything was over. The onlookers would never forget what happened today. They witnessed something that changed the fate of the immortal world. The Lotus Emperor rushed in front of Tang Guo. "Guo, what's your cultivation level?" "Quasi-sage." Tang Guo said. "I'm just one step away from becoming a sage." The Lotus Emperor nodded, his face full of joy. He was no longer shocked, because it was only natural for one to have such a cultivation level after obtaining the vitality of the heavenly Tao. The Lightning Emperor and the others were shocked, but they quickly regained their senses and looked at Lei Yu and the others. The Lightning Emperor rushed over and lifted Lei Yu up. "Tell me honestly what happened." "You damn child." The Pill Emperor knocked Lin Chu. "Are you in the Immortal Emperor realm?" Lin Chu nodded honestly. "Yes, father, don't beat me. No matter how much you beat me, I can't catch up to them. Your son is already an immortal emperor, you have to save some face." "Lin Chu, you're too cowardly. You're already an immortal emperor, so you have to fight with me." Ao Xian said arrogantly. "Old dragon, come and fight." The Dragon Emperor was not afraid. "Brat, come then. Find an empty space. Don't think that you can challenge me just because you're in the Immortal Emperor realm. I'll beat you until you can't transform." With that, the Dragon Emperor and Ao Xian turned into two huge dragons and flew towards the sky. It seemed like they were really going to fight. "Who's the ninth Immortal Emperor?" the Lotus Emperor asked Tang Guo. Tang Guo replied, "It's me." The Lotus Emperor laughed. "Then who's the 10th? Tang Guo pointed at the others. "The 6 of them together." Everyone gasped. She was too strong. Was she secretly leveling up? The Lotus Emperor was still confused. "How did you escape from our array?" "Zilin." Tang Guo pulled Jiang Zilin over and took off his mask. "Zilin helped me." When the Lotus Emperor saw Jiang Zilin's face, the corner of his mouth twitched. He was indeed more outstanding than Chen. No wonder his daughter always wanted him to wear a mask. Ahem. Zilin. Jiang Zilin was very polite. "Father-in-law." The Lotus Emperor. He hadn't agreed yet. Zilin actually, he had seen it in the image stone just now. He wanted to ask again. If other people asked about this, he wouldn't answer. 2. To the Tao. It meant that Jiang Zilin was a saint who survived the Great Tribulation. Zilin, since you're a saint, why don't you preach in the celestial world? The Lotus Emperor asked. There's no saint in the celestial world now. Jiang Zilin shook his head. Forget about the preaching. I have other missions. Next month, the Desolate Sea will open the Saint Mystic Realm. Everyone in the celestial world can go. There are countless tests inside. There's no limit to the number of times you can pass. What you can get depends on your luck. As for the rules inside, he had already set them. He didn't care about conflicts. Wherever there were people, there would be conflicts. The saints here were just cultivators. They weren't the kind of saints who didn't fight. Peak. Chapter 47:22. Jiang Zilin went back with the Azure the Arch, but the Lightning the Arch and the others stayed behind. Even the Dragon the Arch was called back. When they came back, Aoxian's eye was still swollen. In a short time, he was beaten up by his father to the point that his dragon scales almost fell off. Look, stupid child. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Don't think that you can beat me just because you've reached the immortal emperor realm. Unless you're as strong as Tanggua, the Pill the Arch said to Lin Chu. Lin Chu nodded obediently. I know, father. He had never thought of fighting with his father. In this aspect, he was more tactful. Looking at Aoxian and Lei Yu's miserable state, he knew that they had been beaten up very badly. The Pill the Arch patted Lin Chu's head. Learn well, Dragon the Arch and Lightning the Arch. Which one of them hasn't been through hundreds of battles? Even if your cultivation level is higher than theirs, you won't be their match if you really go all out. The few of you are too inexperienced. Lin Chu didn't understand. Then why do you say that you're not Tanggua's match? She's different. The Pill the Arch frowned. She has memories of many lifetimes and grasped the vitality of the heavenly Tao. Her previous moves were flawless. The few of us together might not be her match. I have to say that a genius is a genius. The Pill the Arch sighed. An ordinary kid like you should work harder. I know, father. I will work hard and not embarrass you. But they're too strong. I can't catch up. It's okay. It's much harder for us to cultivate pills. The servant who was following by the side heard the Pill Thearcha's words and his mouth twitched. The son of the Pill the Arch, Lin Chu, was an ordinary kid. If this were to spread, the people of the immortal world would probably cry. They also wanted to be ordinary, okay? In the Azure Thearcha's palace, Jiang Zilin told everyone about the saint's secret realm. The Azure the Arch and the others asked about the situation inside. Jiang Zilin smiled. Everyone can go in. There are indeed many saints' inheritances inside. Whether or not you can get them is not up to me. I'm only responsible for opening the secret realm. Everyone expressed their understanding and didn't doubt him at all. They guessed that this was the mission that allowed Jiang Zilin to survive. However, he did not know that the mystic realm was personally set up by Jiang Zilin. The inheritances of the Sword Sage, Pill Sage, Dragon Sage, Profound Sage, Lightning Sage, Water Sage, Ice Sage, and Buddha Sage are all inside. Their successors had a very high chance of obtaining the inheritance of becoming a saint. Even if you can't obtain it, you can still obtain their other inheritances. The descendants of the Profound Sages have all died out, so the secret realm will select a new successor. Let's leave the Profound Palace for the new successor to inherit. The Azure the Arch and the others nodded. They were not interested in that. In less than half a day, the entire immortal world knew what had happened today. Among them, the one that everyone was most concerned about was the Saint's secret territory. It was a secret territory where everyone could search for opportunities. Before the next month, there were already people rushing to that place to wait. However, before the mystic realm opened, a piece of news came from Qingzhou. Tanghua and Jiang Zilin were going to hold a Dao companion ceremony. The people waiting there had no choice but to run over to participate in the Dao companion ceremony. During the ceremony, Wei Xian's family stood at the side and looked at Tanghua and Jiang Zilin. They felt that the two of them were really a match made in heaven. Now, everyone knew that Wei Xian was Tanghua's disciple. As for the Su family, they naturally rose in status and became a first-class family. After that incident, Wei Xian and Su Sai's relationship became even better, and Wei Ming directly recognized Su Sai as his father. They all planned to forget about Unichen and throw away that unpleasant memory. Peak. Chapter 47-23. After experiencing life and death that day, they cherished the life they had now. A month later, the sage mystic realm in the desolate sea opened. Initially, the Lotus the Arch and the others were worried that they wouldn't be able to take it if there were too many people. Later, they realized that there was a world of its own inside, so they didn't worry much. After everyone entered the mystic realm, Jiang Zilin and Tanguo also entered. The two of them hid in the core of the mystic realm and could control the whereabouts of everyone inside. Seeing the Lotus the Arch and the others, Jiang Zilin said, "Father-in-law and the others are more experienced. Lin Chu and the others still lack experience. It won't be so easy to get the inheritance. My father and the others have been in the immortal emperor realm for many years. They are just a little bit away. Lin Chu and the others can't compare." Jiang Zilin wouldn't interfere with any disputes in the mystic realm. This mystic realm had merged with the hidden world in the lower realm, so it was very big. There were rules set by those old men. Hence, he was telling the truth. If these people wanted to get something, they could only rely on themselves. He wouldn't help them. However, if the Lotus the Arch and his wife passed any tests, he would give them the things in his personal storage. Tanguo couldn't help but laugh. Seeing how happy her father was, she didn't stop him. In Jiang Zilin's words, it was just a small thing to make the two of them happy. Tanguo would also give some of her personal storage to Lin Chu and the others, as well as Wei Xian and the others, to make them happy too. On one side were her friends, and on the other side were her disciples. The first sage inheritance was obtained by the Buddha the Arch. The others didn't know. Only Jiang Zilin and Tanghua, who were in control of the situation, knew. After the Buddha the Arch obtained it, he went into seclusion. After about 10 years, someone else obtained it. The Lotus the Arch obtained the Sword Sage's sage inheritance 50 years after the mystic realm opened. After that, almost every 10 or 50 years, someone would obtain the sage inheritance. It was the Lotus the Arch and the others. Lin Chu and the others went through many tests and understood their shortcomings. Instead, they settled down to cultivate and didn't advance rashly. 100 years later, Tanghua became a sage. That day, immortal music filled the entire celestial realm. The immortal chi of heaven and earth surged crazily. Wherever they walked, they seemed to be covered by layers of immortal chi. With such a huge commotion, everyone came out. On that day, the entire immortal world was filled with heavenly music. Withered trees came back to life and flowers bloomed everywhere. Not only that, but some injured people also felt their injuries slowly recovering. Everyone in the immortal world was in a state of enlightenment. No matter what they were doing, they all stopped what they were doing and closed their eyes to enter a state of enlightenment. The bustling immortal realm fell silent. Meanwhile, Tanghua had already woken up. At this moment, she was already in the sage realm. She opened her eyes and found Jiang Zilin looking at her sadly. What happened? So the time of a saint is also very short. Is this the price of changing everything? Jiang Zilin held her hand, his eyes moist. The moment Tanghua became a saint, he felt that they didn't have much time left. To be precise, she didn't have much time left. Didn't they say that saints are immortal and indestructible? Jiang Zilin was half crying and half laughing. So it was just a lie. Tanghua didn't know how to comfort her. This day would come sooner or later. She didn't expect Jiang Zilin to see through it so quickly. She could only say, "See you in the next life." You still understand me? Jiang Zilin pulled her into his arms. I was really afraid that you'd say to live well. Tanghua kissed Jiang Zilin's face and pinched it. You're so handsome. It's a pity that you don't have the life to enjoy it. Didn't you say in the next life? Jiang Zilin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The old men tricked me. They said I'd be single, but they didn't say I'd lose you. Isn't it torture to lose you after getting you? In the next life, you'll look better. If you don't, I'll automatically ignore you. Jiang Zilin said, then I don't dare to look ugly. After a while, I'll preach the Tao. 20 years later, I'll leave here and tell them that I'm going to find other sacred grounds. Jiang Zilin agreed. Then I'll preach the Tao too. Jiang Zilin and Tanghua preached the Tao for 20 years, benefiting countless people in the immortal world. It was only when the Lotus Emperor and the others were breaking through to the sage realm that they bid farewell to everyone. The people in the immortal world didn't know that this was an eternal farewell. Many years later, when the Lotus Emperor and the others became saints, they gathered in the pavilion again. They seemed very quiet. Brother Qing, don't be too sad. The Lotus Emperor sighed. How can I not be sad that my daughter is gone? This is probably the price I had to pay. So becoming a saint isn't about being immortal and indestructible, the Elixir Emperor said. Everyone fell silent again. If they hadn't become saints, they really would have thought that Tanghua and Jiang Zilin were going to find other sacred grounds. The Peak. Chapter 47-24. Margaret, I'm used to it. You don't have to comfort me. I can accept it. Ziyun, poor Margaret. Margaret doesn't need to be comforted. Margaret is very strong. Qi Shao, you'll laugh to death sooner or later. Shangguan Yonggu, I sympathize with you. Harold, +1, Alan, +2, Mo Yuntian, Yonggu, have you left that place? Shangguan Yonggu, Master, I'm trying. Margaret, you mean you haven't left yet? You still have the time to sympathize with me. You'd better think of a way to get out as soon as possible. You're just a trapped insect. What right do you have to sympathize with me? Shangguan Yonggu, thank you for your concern, Senior Margaret. Ziyun, sister is in a mortal world this time. There shouldn't be any danger. We can wait for the next world. The reason why Ziyun said this was because Tanghua had already arrived in the new world. She had just greeted them and left the group not long ago. Qi Shao, yes. Mo Yuntian, let's not talk about how Margaret has been looking forward to meeting the girl. How could you and I not want to meet the girl again? Piao Miao, will there be such a day? Inhuan, it's been a long time. Our cultivation is getting higher and higher, but we can still remember the time when we met the school bell. It's like yesterday. Emmanuel, I should be glad that time in the interstellar has slowed down. Otherwise, you might see my profile picture turn gray one day. Billy, every time on the school bell's death anniversary, Qingru will stay in her room for a long time. Things are too complicated. I don't know if I should tell her the truth. Whether I tell her or not, she won't be able to see me. Emmanuel, don't you have anything to say? Billy, I'm afraid of provoking Qingru. Emmanuel, I think you're afraid that Qingru will beat you. Billy, life is hard. I'm thinking about it. The school bell's death anniversary is the most silent day for Qingru. I'm wondering if I should tell her. Emmanuel, maybe we can consider it. After all, we're not cultivators. We can't live forever. Even though the flow of time was very slow, no matter how slow it was, one would still die. Billy, give me some more time. The discussion between the two made everyone in the group very silent. They all knew that as long as they weren't cultivators and didn't have an endless lifespan, their avatars in the group would sooner or later disappear. Speaking of which, they had already sent away 3 people. Until now, the 3 gray names were still on the member list. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't want to look at them because it would make them sad. Margaret, what are you talking about all of a sudden? Do you want to die in the group? The school bell didn't come again. I'm very sad now. Hurry up and comfort me. The sorrowful Marguerite was in dire need of comfort. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but laugh, and they started to comfort Margaret and give her small gifts. At this moment, Tang Guo was sitting on a small stool in front of the house and eating melon seeds that her mother had specially cooked for her. This time, she had transmigrated to a rather special era. The most tense and serious period had passed. In a year's time, the college entrance examination would be resumed, and freedom would be restored. Self-employed people would slowly appear, and the entire society would welcome development. Although she was in the most special era, she was living a good life. She had already graduated from high school. Because her family doted on her and didn't want her to work, they let her stay at home and play. Her hands were white and tender, just like a rich young lady. Peak. Chapter 47-25. Her mother was afraid that she would be bored at home, so she specially fried melon seeds for her to pass the time. Her family was relatively simple. Her father passed away in an accident a few years ago, and the family received a sum of compensation, which did not make their life worse. Her mother, Chen Yufin, was a capable person. She was hardworking, strong, and able to endure hardships. After her father passed away, she did the work of 2 people and raised the 3 of them well. She didn't let her suffer any hardships. The reason why the whole family doted on her so much was that in addition to her brother, Tang Yu, who was 5 years older than her, she also had a twin brother, Tang Shi. When she was born, she was malnourished and did not develop well. She almost died. On the contrary, her twin brother, Tang Shi, was very strong, just like his name. Even when the family was at its most difficult, the family was reluctant to let her do any heavy work. It could be said that she grew up in the palm of their hands. She was 17 years old this year, and her brother, Tang Yu, was 22 years old this year. Her brother was tall, handsome, and very hardworking. He loved his sister very much. Now, it was not difficult for him to work in the field. How could he let a delicate little girl like her do it? Her twin brother, Tang Shi, was the same age as her, but much taller than her. His body was not as strong as Tang Yu's. Instead, he was more delicate and slender. He did not look like someone who could work, but in fact, his work speed was not worse than Tang Yu's. Another point was that Tang Shi's name sounded very honest, but in fact, he was not honest at all. In addition to working in the field, Tang Shi often came up with some strange ideas. He went to the mountains to catch birds and rabbits for Tang Guo to improve her life. Tang Shi knew since he was young that his sister almost died. Every time he thought of this, he was a man, but his eyes would turn red. If anyone dared to say anything bad about his sister, he would definitely give that person a beating. Because of her two brothers, her mother was not so tired in the past few years. She did not have to work in the field too much. She would come back to cook after doing a little. Her life was not bad. Especially in the last 2 years, the limelight was getting more and more relaxed. Many people saw hope, and those with a bit of knowledge might understand that the bitter days were coming to an end. Originally, such a happy family should have a good life in the future. However, Tanghua came. They were destined to have a tragedy in the future. Suddenly, a troublemaker appeared in the harmonious family. As mentioned earlier, Tanghua's eldest brother, Tang Yu, was already 22 years old this year and was still single. He wasn't in a hurry, but Chen Yufan was. Her son was already so old. No matter what, it was time for him to find a wife. Chen Yufan asked a matchmaker to introduce them to her. The Tang family was considered a good family. Their few houses were much bigger than those in the same village. Currently, all the members of the family Tang group had their own rooms, and there was even one empty room. Chen Yufan was capable and could help take care of the village in the future. Brother Tang, Tang Yu, had a lot of strength. He was hardworking and willing to do the work of several people. Marrying him would definitely lead a good life. As soon as the news that Tang Yu was looking for a wife spread out, many people were tempted. But Tang Yu was also a little bit of a beauty lover. He hoped that his future wife would be good-looking. Even if she was not as good as his sister, at least half as good. At worst, he would marry her and take good care of her. She should be able to be more tender. Chen Yufan knew Tang Yu's thoughts and did not stop him. The Peak. Chapter 47-26. As long as she was a good person, not too lazy, and willing to live, she could still accept her son if he liked her. In the end, the matchmaker introduced them to the Yao family's daughter, Yao Wenwen. Yao Wenwen was really fair and clean, which suited Tang Yu's aesthetic. He liked her at first sight. Except for her rough hands, everything else was suitable. Her voice was pleasant, her eyes were bright, and her face was beautiful, but a little tanned. Tang Yu felt that it would be good to marry her and raise her. He didn't need Yao Wenwen to work in the fields. She could help Chen Yufan with some chores at home. Yao Wenwen also liked the family Tang. She got along well with Tang Yu. When they were dating, Tang Yu gave her a lot of good things. If there was anything good, he would send it to her house. After 2 months, the two of them liked each other and got married. On the day of the wedding, it was naturally a grand occasion. At first, Yao Wenwen was very satisfied with her current life. She didn't need to be chased by her parents to work in the fields every day like in her mother's house. She only needed to help Chen Yufan and wasn't too busy. Tang Yu was very good to her, and everyone in the village envied her. If there was anything good, the family wouldn't hide it and would leave a portion for her. Unlike in her mother's house, if there was anything good at home, it would be left for her younger brother. There was no share for her at all. It was just that people were greedy. If they got something good, they would want something better. A few months after marrying into the family Tang, Yao Wenwen found out one thing. There was one person in the family who was treated much better than her. This person was the original owner. She didn't need to work and could still enjoy the best treatment. Chen Yufan doted on Tanghua very much and didn't even let her hit her. Yao Wenwen felt unbalanced in her heart. Why did Tanghua get the same treatment as her without doing anything? In addition, the sisters around her were sowing discord. She felt more and more that Tanghua should work. If her sister-in-law didn't show her power, her sister-in-law wouldn't know how powerful she was. But as soon as she proposed to let Tanghua work, Chen Yufan objected. Then Tang Shi objected. Tang Shi even scolded her. Yao Wenwen was very angry. She didn't expect that this time, Tang Yu didn't stand on her side. Instead, he told her not to care about this matter. They should pamper their younger sister. She even said that she would get all the benefits from the family and that she shouldn't cause trouble for Qin Yufan. In order to balance out this matter, Tang Yu would leave his share to Yao Wenwen. He hoped she would understand and make her feel better. However, Yao Wenwen was unwilling to give up. She felt that Tang Guo was an eyesore if she didn't work. Occasionally, she would say sourly that if the original owner didn't work, what would happen when she got married in the future? This time, Qin Yufan listened and began to teach the original owner how to cook. But when the original owner burned her hands, the whole family objected and didn't want the original owner to do such dangerous work. What Yao Wenwen didn't expect was that Tang Shi proposed to find a son-in-law for the original owner in the future. That way, the original owner wouldn't be bullied. This decision was agreed by the whole family. Yao Wenwen was mad. She was so jealous that she almost split open. Later, the village received news that the college entrance examination was about to be reinstated. The whole family supported the original owner's college entrance examination. They hoped that she could get into a good school so that she could be assigned a job in the future. She could live in the city and eat the government's meals. Yao Wenwen was mad with jealousy. She also said that she wanted to take the college entrance examination. Although the Tang family was a little dissatisfied with her, they didn't stop her from taking the exam. Yao Wenwen wasn't good at studying. She knew very well that she might not be able to pass the exam. Chapter 47-27. Looking at the original owner studying hard, she suddenly panicked. On the day of the college entrance examination, Yao Wenwen deliberately fell into the river when she passed by. She even pulled the original owner down with her. The river was slippery, so the two of them fell down together. The first college entrance examination was ruined just like that. But the original owner didn't give up, and neither did the family Tang. Yao Wenwen couldn't study, and she didn't want the original owner to take the exam. In the 3 times that the original owner took the college entrance examination, she was either given chin beans for dinner or chin beans for breakfast on the day of the college entrance examination. After preparing for so many times, the original owner suddenly felt that she might not be suitable for the college entrance examination. She was also sensible. If she continued like this, she would be a burden to her family. So, she became a teacher with her excellent results. Yao Wenwen saw that the original owner was still well off and was doted on by the whole family, so she still hated her. But she didn't dare to show it. Everyone in the family Tang was on the side of Tang Guo. So, she thought of introducing someone to the original owner. She wanted to introduce someone who looked good on the surface but was actually not very good. After looking around, she found a man who had been married 3 times. It was said that he liked to beat his wife and was very fickle. He was from the city and had a good family background, but he liked to beat his wife. She deliberately introduced him to the original owner first, wanting to matchmake the two of them and arrange for them to meet. But the original owner didn't have a good impression of this person and didn't plan to date him. Yao Wenwen didn't want to. She would find all kinds of excuses to say that this person was good. If she missed it, she wouldn't have a chance. The original owner felt that something was wrong, so she told Qin Yufan about it. When Yao Wenwen was questioned by Qin Yufan, Yao Wenwen said confidently that she found out that this person had a good family background. Tang Guo was pampered by them. Of course, she wanted to find someone rich and good to her. That way, she wouldn't have a hard life. Yao Wenwen's words made the family Tang agree, so they asked a matchmaker to find out. The matchmaker took the man's money, so of course, she said something good. When the family Tang heard this, they felt that this person was good. When they met later, this man also behaved very well. At that time, the distance was too far, and it was not so easy to check the marriage history. Who would have thought that the matchmaker would help to hide the marriage history? Yao Wenwen stood by the side, quietly watching the family Tang people persuade the original owner, saying that this person was not bad and that she should try him out. But no matter what, the host still didn't like this person. Tang Shi saw through the original owner's thoughts and had a heart-to-heart chat with her. The original owner said her intuition, saying that she felt that the person was a bit fake, and that he would occasionally make a move. Of course, Tang Shi valued his sister's opinion very much, so he planned to go into the city to inquire. As soon as she entered the city, not only did she discover the person's true identity, but she also discovered the relationship between Yao Wenwen and the matchmaker. It was also when Yao Wenwen felt that the matter was settled and went to invite the matchmaker for dinner. That man was also there. Tang Shi spent some money to hire someone to eavesdrop. After learning the truth, Tang Shi did not go up and make a scene. Instead, he immediately returned home and informed everyone at home. The Tang family members who knew the truth were furious, especially Chen Yufan. She basically did not scold Yao Wenwen, her daughter-in-law. Sometimes, when Yao Wenwen was lazy, she would turn a blind eye to it. Yao Wenwen's way of framing her precious daughter finally angered her. When Yao Wenwen came back and Chen Yufan saw her, she rushed up to Yao Wenwen and beat her up. As she beat her up, she scolded her for being a vicious woman. How could Yao Wenwen be willing to be beaten up? She turned around and fought back. Peak. Chapter 47-28. As a result, Chen Yufan fell from the yard and rolled down with Yao Wenwen. Everything happened too fast. The two brothers didn't expect Chen Yufan to rush up and hit them. They also didn't expect her to be so fierce that they both fell down. At that time, they heard Chen Yufan scream. Tang Yu and his brother hurriedly sent her to the hospital. Yao Wenwen was slightly injured, but Chen Yufan's condition was very serious. She fell and became paralyzed. Tang Yu planned to divorce her. Their family was very happy. Ever since Yao Wenwen married him, except for the first 3 months, she caused all kinds of trouble. His patience had reached its limit. Yao Wenwen also shed all pretense of cordiality at this time. She felt that she wouldn't have a good life with Tang Yu. In this family, her status was the lowest, so she agreed to the divorce. After getting the divorce certificate, Yao Wenwen went out to work. The original owner began to teach while taking care of Chen Yufan's work. Tang Yu didn't plan to get married for a while. Tang Shi also started a small business, and the family's life slowly got better. However, Yao Wenwen had long hated the family Tang people. Many years later, she became the mistress of a big boss while working. Thinking of the family Tang people, she decided to teach the family Tang people a lesson. First, she used her connections to make the original owner unable to teach. Then, she asked the big boss to help her make Tang Shi's business have problems. She only came back when she knew that the family Tang people were not doing well. She came to the family Tang, found Chen Yufan, who was sunbathing in the yard, and told her about how she ruined the original owner's college entrance examination. Speaking of which, she ruined the original owner's college entrance examination 4 times. Chen Yufan was angry. Not long after Yao Wenwen left, she died before she could catch her breath. When Chen Yufan died of anger, it was a big blow to the 3 family Tang siblings. Later, they heard that Yao Wenwen had been here before and wanted to say something. Tang Shi suspected that Yao Wenwen said something to make his mother die of anger. He planned to argue with Yao Wenwen. Now Yao Wenwen was very arrogant and had bodyguards around her. She used the excuse that Tang Shi was a hooligan and wanted to molest her. Not only did she let the bodyguards break one of his legs, but she also reported that Tang Shi molested her. She even found a witness, so Tang Shi had nothing to say. Tang Yu took Tang Shi back to the village. The news of him molesting Yao Wenwen had spread like wildfire. As the big boss's lover, Yao Wenwen made things difficult for the three family Tang siblings. She made it difficult for them to do anything, and they had no chance to stand out at all. With the original owner's appearance, there were people who liked her and she even got married. However, Yao Wenwen's words made that person tremble in fear. She told the pregnant original owner to abort the baby and get a divorce. The original owner didn't remarry, and so did Tang Yu and Tang Shi. The three siblings lived in the old house and farmed. It was not until the arrogant Yao Wenwen was taught a lesson by the big boss's wife that they came back to life. With Tang Shi's brain and Tang Yu's strength, the three siblings were able to live their lives again. But except for Tang Yu, the original owner and Tang Shi were not in good health, especially the original owner. She was weak since she was in her mother's womb. Later, she had an abortion and hurt her roots. She died earlier than the two brothers. Tang Shi hurt his leg, so it was not good for him in the future. At that time, they were rich and could finally live a good life. She was just 48 years old. After the original owner passed away, Tang Shi was so sad that he followed her a few years later. Tang Yu was in good health, but when his family members passed away one by one, he felt like he had lost his soul. He blamed himself. If he didn't care about appearances and found a virtuous wife who wasn't so good-looking, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. The Peak. Chapter 47-29. Tang Yu put all his energy into his work and didn't plan to marry a wife. He was busy day and night. His body gradually collapsed. 10 years later, he passed away. Tang Gua sat on a small stool and leaned against the wall behind her. She looked at the hens and roosters in the yard. She was thinking about how to stop Yao Wenwen from marrying into the family. In addition, she also wanted to find a good daughter-in-law for her two brothers. Both of them wouldn't mistreat their daughter-in-law. Yao Wenwen had never worked in the fields after marrying into the family. Even the chores at home were all secretly picked up by her. For the sake of family harmony, Chen Yufin didn't care so much. After all, she could still move. Unfortunately, she met a bad person. Yao Wenwen didn't know what was good for her. As for Yao Wenwen, with her situation in her family and her personality, she definitely wouldn't have a good life. It should be mentioned that Yao Wenwen wasn't the female lead of this world. In this world, she didn't have many entanglements with the female lead. On the contrary, the female lead's appearance led the family to become rich. The female lead's family seemed to have some difficulties at first. Later, with her intelligence and wisdom, she was admitted to a university. She worked together with her husband and her husband became the richest man in the province. The female lead also had the ability to come back to this small village to help the poor. She knew this because the three family Tang siblings were able to make a fortune quickly because the female lead came back to help the poor. Tang Shi had good taste. He was the first person in Shangha village and Xiahe village to eat crabs. These were all what the original owner heard. As for what exactly happened, the original owner didn't have the mood to inquire about these things because there were too many family matters at that time. It's easy to stop Yao Wenwen from marrying into the family. I just need to casually make a plan and expose her true colors to my brother. Then he won't like her. Tang Yu was indeed a little obsessed with beauty, but he wasn't the kind of person who would lose his mind because of beauty. If it weren't for Yao Wenwen's excellent acting skills and the fact that she was suppressed by her family, Tang Yu and her mother might not have agreed to the marriage if they spent more time together. Tang Gua ate sunflower seeds and pondered. She didn't plan to change the current situation. There was really nothing to do at home, so she didn't plan to show off too much. As for the college entrance examination, if it wasn't necessary, she didn't want to take it. System, dear host, you can't fall. My eldest brother is hardworking and my second brother has good taste. I believe that they can lead me to a good life. At the very least, there will be a female lead who will come back to help the poor in the future. At that time, the whole village will be rich. System, what about Ya Wenwen? Aren't you going to teach her a lesson? She harmed the original owner's family so badly. None of them had a good ending. I haven't forgotten. I already have an idea on how to deal with her. I just have to make sure she doesn't have a good life. When her life gets better, I'll find some trouble for her and make her life hard and tiring. Tanghua stood up and said, I still want to show off in front of her and see how comfortable I am. It's decided then. I want to live the life she hopes for. Whatever she wants, I'll show it off in front of her. System, I shouldn't have reminded you. How could the great host forget about this? This plan is really vicious. He didn't want Ya Wenwen's life, but he would make Ya Wenwen unable to vent her anger. Right now, Ya Wenwen should be in the field. I'll make some mint candy and send it to my two brothers. Then I'll sit beside Ya Wenwen and eat sunflower seeds. Host, you're so vicious. You're really vicious. Peek, you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.